2022 City Commission meeting to order. First, approve the February 7th minutes. Everybody have a chance to review those?
Motion to approve the February 7th minutes.
Second?
Discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. Yes. Yes. Okay. Next, approve the February 28th special meeting minutes.
Motion to approve?
Second that.
Discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. Yes. Yes. Okay, we have the year-end financials. Everybody have a chance to review those?
Yep.
Motion to approve the year-end financials?
Second.
I'll move. He can say he already seconded, so.
I already
What?
moved.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't hear you. I heard him though.
That's okay. Discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Yes. Aye.
Yes. Yes. Now the January financials. Do we have a chance to review those?
Motion to approve the January financials. I'll second that.
Discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. Yes. Okay, February's weren't quite done yet. River Riders local permit. So it's for the raffle.
Just one quick question, Larry. They don't need to put down what the benefits for it is.
That's a good, I was gonna ask that. Do they need to put down what the benefits for? Lance, do they need to put down what the benefits for a raffle? I don't remember either.
Their main thing, I guess, has always been what I've asked was, the monetary stuff, because that's what really they keep track of. I don't know if this is for their scholarship that they give out.
I do know that they don't keep any of the money that they collect.
Right.
They always give it out, so.
Yep. Okay. Well, outside of that, I don't see anything on here, Larry, so I would move that we approve that.
I'll second that. Further discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye. Yes. Yes. Matt Beaudry,
Yes, thank you.
come on up.
I'm here to ask for abeyance on the $350 fine for fee for the lodge, for the hall. This is for the Lodge 122 Masonic Lodge. We're gonna be using that for the honor banquet. So we have the students from Watchford, Underwood, Turtle Lake, and Wilton all come for the honor banquet. Basically, we feed them and give them a certificate, and we give the students tickets to come, and we charge the parents, and we usually break about even. So,
You haven't done this for a couple of years, right? Yeah.
I've done it for 20-some myself.
Oh, so you haven't done it for a couple of years?
Oh, we haven't done, no, we
Right.
didn't do it for 2 years.
Yeah, so, I think it's a good thing.
Any questions on it?
I mean, I'll move that we waive the fee for the gym and the kitchen, but they will, of course, still need the deposit.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll second that, Larry.
Discussion?
I'd just like to make sure that it gets cleaned up that night, because we have cleaning people come in on Sundays once in a while. So it works a little bit better if we get everybody on the same page and...
Yeah, this will be a Monday night, and you know, generally we have the students that are there to help us, and they get them pretty quick.
Right, so it's just so we get stuff cleaned up, you know, immediately and stuff.
Sure, okay.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes. Yes. Thank you, Matt.
Very good, thank you, Jim.
And Matt, what's the date on that?
24th.
April 24th.
24th.
Monday the 24th. Thank you.
Dana Branch, water line.
So it was leaking on both sides, not just my side. It was actually worse on the city side than my side.
You're talking of the water shut off, right?
Yeah. Yeah, why it was leaking.
I guess my question is, if it was worse on the city side and we shut off the valve, why did the water quit coming out? That's, that seems kind of odd. Not saying it's not true, I'm just saying it's kind of odd. Now, if you shed light on this, or,
I don't know, if I'm guessing, maybe it was spraying the opposite way towards the street, it was flowing that way, and, maybe the sewer, I don't know, hard to say. But, I watched them dig it, they seemed to be digging it pretty well, and, they had a limited footprint, and everything looked, pretty good, and it just ended up, when they got down to it, it was leaking on the other end as well, so.
Because when we first started digging, there was water coming like crazy, and it's like, okay, if it was off since the 12th of
right,
February, where's this water coming from?
okay?
So you said they found leaks on both sides, though?
Mm-hmm.
The only question I had, Dana, was on, if you could explain this here, why there was 8 hours charged for both of these. One of these was just
One was,
extraction of the concrete, right?
yeah,
So they got an 8-hour charge
because
on
it had to
that.
be rented, so it's rented for a whole day.
Okay,
So I'm sure why.
okay.
It's the only thing I,
Only thing you could think of?
Yep.
Okay.
You couldn't rent that by the hour, or,
only by the day.
okay?
You're talking about the,
These two here.
Jackhammer.
right, but you've got the hydraulic excavator, right, and then the
We had two.
hydraulic excavator with the hammer.
They had 2 excavators.
You had two
minis.
excavators?
Yes. We were originally only gonna have one, but the hammer that we rented did not work. So we had to rent an excavator with a hammer,
Okay,
or else there was gonna be no way, because the frost was
right.
4 feet.
So when you say it didn't work, it didn't have, it worked, but it didn't have.
No, it didn't have the correct pin to attach to their piece of equipment that they own.
Okay.
So then they had to rent an excavator with the hydraulic hammer.
I'm surprised they didn't use a ripper tooth instead to go through the frost. But that's usually what
Well-
happens, but,
It's in the sidewalk,
well, yeah, cut it out, cut the sidewalk with the diamond blade.
yeah, whatever. Since they're leaking on both sides, I would say half, probably, would be my thought.
I think that's fair.
Yep.
So, I guess I will, make a motion to split half this bill, city pays half,
Chelsea pays the other half.
Chelsea pays.
You want that in?
It's only
you want
fair.
in?
That I like.
Would you like to amend your motion to approve that?
Yeah, sure.
Because I'll second it if you will.
Are you seconding, Pam?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then as soon as it gets nice, obviously, I'll get the concrete replaced.
Okay.
So are we splitting the concrete also, or?
Doesn't matter.
Well, are
Hmm?
we in the discussion stage right now?
Right.
We're in discussion.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in discussion.
Just, because I know typically with the sidewalk, do we wanna let that settle a year first before we do anything, or how's that, I know for a house
I'm pretty sure you
homeowners?
compacted it.
Oh, yeah, they had a packer in there.
Okay.
They brought in new material,
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
And it was dry.
Like I know for residential, they always want it to sit a year before they do anything, so.
on the street.
Gravel products and equipment, so.
Good.
Okay, then I'm fine with that, yeah. So,
So you're adding the concrete, half the concrete too?
I think that's fair.
And you're,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. I'm sure there's probably a minimum, because that's not gonna take very much, but
Right. Colin?
I don't know if there's any other.
Yes.
thoughts on
Yes.
that.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Okay,
Thanks, Dina.
Thank you.
that was easy.
Mr.
Lance.
Saban.
We'll be all right.
Just go for it.
Well, I'm not here this year to have a cup in my hand for anything, but I want to
Good.
update you because that might happen in the future.
As you guys remember, I think about 3 years ago, we got $35,000 from 1 cent set tail sales, and we apply that to our long-term debt. When we tried to turn the golf course around and risk of losing it, we needed to deal with our long-term debt. We didn't have the cash flows to do that, so the city stepped up and helped us, and it's been very helpful. We continue to apply all that to that. Last time I was here, we were coming out of bankruptcy or whatever. We were at about 3,300 rounds. We're getting close to 9,000. That's 4 years. We've changed a lot of things on the course. We have now a golf team back at the high school. We have a lot of events out there. We're having a lot of challenges still with our cash flow, but it's much better than it was. The expenses of the golf course have kind of gone up from some of the equipment purchases we've had to do to keep things going. We're hoping to make a separation between our revenues and our cash flows, so the golf course can stand on its own for the long term. So we're bringing 200 to 300 people a weekend in here from other places now, golfing out there. If you guys drive by, you probably see the parking lot's pretty full some days. Senior leagues are Monday and Thursdays. That's like 40 local seniors and stuff golfing now, and we are hosting a lot of events. We've had Golf Digest out there. Very impressed with the place last year. We had a writer from the West Coast out there. So we're in that class of golf courses, top 2 or 3 in the state. Just a matter of getting it on its own based on how it came about, and I think it's going there. We host the governor's office in the Bank of North Dakota. We host the Senate Republicans. One of our challenges is our clubhouse is kind of small for the amount of people that want to have big events out there, so we're looking at options there going forward. I would anticipate in a couple of years the golf course is going to come back and ask for continued support from 1 cent sales, not city tax dollars obviously, but 1 cent sales tax dollars for economic development. And I just didn't want to, you see us every 5 years, you don't get an update, you don't get questions answered, and then every time we come in, we just want money. So I just kind of, in the middle of this, thought I'd stop in and update you. You probably have been hearing that things are going a lot better than they were last time we were here.
Mm-hmm.
We use a lot of local businesses for our repairs, Scott's, RDO, Napa, Captain Cabin, all that, so, bunch of others. Ed's does a lot of tires for us, all that. So if you guys, I don't want to take up your time, you got a busy meeting here, but just thought I'd stop in and say we're on the right trajectory to get that golf course moving, healthy, independent down the road. We can deal with that long-term debt still, so our free cash flows work out better. Hopefully at some point it's, we got to cut down on the amount of volunteerism out there. That's just wearing people down. We've done a lot of the labor by that, and just at some point we can't do it. And we need to get paid employees to take over a lot of those roles. It's just people are getting burned out. But we got a little bit left in us yet as we're moving forward. We need a mechanic. If anybody knows anybody looking for doing small mechanic work, we'll work out the terms, nights, weekends, whatever. Just small engine work mostly.
There you go, Mike.
Big engine work.
Tony Thorson and I do a lot of mechanic work, and we just lost a guy that we were going to use, but we got a good shop. And so if anybody's aware of somebody that wants some side job or some hours, we could use them. But I'd be happy to answer any questions.
I don't have any, I appreciate the update.
Yeah, and I appreciate you coming in
Thanks, Lad.
halfway through, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
Lad.
Thank you. Bill, with Apex Clean Energy.
All right, thank you, guys. And I know, again, you guys have a big agenda. Many of you have already heard my spiel, but it'll be an update for those who have. My name is Bill Peterson. I represent Apex Clean Energy. And we are developing a 400 megawatt wind farm in the area. It's certainly going to be impactful. If you were to look at the map, it's basically up here is Underwood and Washburn and Wilton down there. So large footprint. Overall, the general concept, which I think most of you probably read in the paper, is that Rainbow Energy Center is going to consume 400 megawatts of power locally through carbon sequestration and a data center. That'll free up 400 megawatts on the transmission line that heads east to Minnesota, and so we will be backfilling that freed up capacity with the wind capacity that we'll be dumping on. So we're looking at as many as 120 turbines spread out over this area, a couple of substations probably. And what that means locally is certainly a couple hundred construction jobs, which will start in 2024, ending in 2025, at which point we'll start operations. Operations will have somewhere around 12, maybe as many as 20 people, but I like to say 12 just to be conservative in terms of the number of operators and maintenance folks that we'll have. We'll be looking here in a year or two as the progress matures a little bit in terms of where we're going to want to put our permanent operations center. Right now, I think most of you are probably aware we have our office there in the Red Plaza. Our sign's up now, so you can take a look at that. Swing on by if you have any questions, but really wanted to make sure for those of you who hadn't heard anything about the project, at least in an official capacity, wanted to give you a heads up that this is coming. We are contacting the landowners in the area. We are talking to the county and state's attorney at the county and you know, the townships in the area and the other cities in the area as well, to make sure that the whole community is engaged and that we get input from everybody in terms of their concerns, desires, et cetera, on the project. So
I see your map has changed a little bit from last time I saw you.
Yeah, it's changed quite a bit, and if, the major difference between those two is when we looked at the lignite development, and there's also a military training route that comes through here. We wanted to stay out of the way of the mine, make sure that their long-term development plan was consistent with ours, and so when we freed up those acres for, you know, got out of the way basically of anything the mine was going to do, then we expanded down to the southeast to make up for those acres that we lost.
Okay.
So.
What kind of response are you getting if
Yeah.
that's available?
Yeah, no, that's a really fair question. I would say in the northern region where we've been talking to people longer, I would say that at this point we've got quite a few people that have signed up. We've got a little bit over 9,000 acres signed up now, and certainly many more. That it's just a matter of getting together to actually sign the paperwork around, sort of like a, you know, a closing almost. But a lot of the major landowners are saying, I still want to hear from my neighbors, I still want to hear from my rental farmer or whatever, and figure out what's right for the community. I would say down in the south area, it's an immature development at this point in that we haven't talked to that many people. Those that we have been able to make connections with down there, we have signed several leases down there as well from local landowners. So down there, I would say maybe it's a couple thousand acres and a couple thousand that are teed up. So the majority of the acreage is up here still.
That's the only questions I had.
Do you have a certain date and time to sign up for this?
So we would like to ask the community in the different areas to make a decision this year if we could, because this is all voluntary, and ultimately the neighbors that are in a particular area are going to define whether there are going to be turbines there or not, because if it's a patchwork quilt of people that sign into the project and people that don't, it's very difficult to be able to site the turbines. If it's a good, dense population of a neighborhood who want to participate in the project, then the project can move forward. This year, we have to file for an interconnection agreement, which is certainly a large financial investment on our part, and for that, we have to have 20,000 acres signed into the project. We believe we will have that. It's looking like the community is supporting it well, that we'll have 20,000 acres this year to be able to file that.
What's your spacing gonna be between the towers?
Yeah, the closest we can put them is within about a half a mile of one another. Generally speaking, the setbacks for environmental reasons or property lines or railroads or power lines that are there preclude us from getting any closer than that anyhow. But for our engineering needs, they won't be any closer than half a mile.
How many acres are you looking at getting?
Approximately 40,000. If we get denser packing, it could be maybe a little less than 40,000. If it's wide packing, it may have to be as many as 45 or 50.
Okay.
And is any of these wind towers going on reclaimed land?
Well, we would like to put it on reclaimed land. The problem with reclaimed land is that the soil's disturbed too deeply. that it's just not financially viable. And then there are also processes on turn back of that reclaimed land to the private domain. Certainly, we're looking at that and trying to figure out how that can fit into the community plans, but the timeline might be difficult to do.
Then are we going by the 60-40, where 60% of the people have to approve it before it can go in, or, you know, because not everybody wants to go in on the project. So I'm trying to figure out how that's going to work. If quite a few don't want it, then does this plan go ahead, or what?
I think it really comes down to a land rights conversation between the different jurisdictions and what they want to do with their landowners. It's all voluntary for the landowners. If we had this 60% all sign in and this 40% all sign out, the project would go forward with no problem. If we have 60% distributed around, the project should go forward. If we have 40%, we still could potentially make it go. It really comes down to what the community wants and what the community wants to support. So, sort of a non-answer, and I apologize for that. But there's no jurisdictional voting of it takes a majority of people. It's really landowner rights. They sign a wind lease, and then it comes down to permitting, making sure we hit all of our environmental requirements and all of the agreements at both the national, the state, and then of course the local jurisdictions.
Because that is a main flyway for geese and eagles and Audubon and the whole works.
Sure.
Is right through there.
Yep, and environmental setbacks, and certainly we're working with the Game and Fish and the Fish and Wildlife on all of our environmental protections, whooping cranes, eagles, migratory birds, long-eared bats. There's a lot of species of interest here, and at the end of the day, it really comes down to making sure that our impact is either adequately mitigated, which means we basically create more area for those species than we disturb, or else certainly financial impact is a big part of it. And then, you know, we do everything we can to minimize it. So what you'll see is setbacks, for example, from Audubon. We're a long way from Audubon, so actually environmentally, by all the national standards, we don't impact Audubon environmentally at this point. And so you can see each one of these sort of crazy shapes in this map are the result of setbacks, most of them to some environmental setback for, you know, some of the species that you're mentioning. There are people out this week in cars on rights-of-way, public rights-of-way, that are doing bird studies, doing bird counts. We certainly look at historical bird counts. We look at current bird counts. We look at strategies. You know, the whooping crane strategy, for example, runs all the way to the Gulf of Mexico. We have several projects that are impacted by the whooping crane. And so talking with the Fish and Wildlife Service on that, how best to mitigate that and help that species be successful.
Anything else?
Thanks.
Yes.
Thank you, Bill.
You bet.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.
Number 11 has been pulled off the agenda. Number 12, Emmy, come on up.
Okay, so at the last meeting that we had, we said, yes, we can have kids, but they need to be accompanied by a legal guardian, and it was up to me to look into how to get that changed. So I reached out to the North Dakota Hospitality Association. They said they had never heard of such a thing, that it has to be a city thing. Reached out to Missy at the Attorney General's office with the licensing administration. She said, quote, I am not able to provide legal advice or any guidance in this area. You will need to speak with a private attorney or with the city and state's attorney. I don't know where else to go with this. I just need to know some guidance of how I get this changed, I guess. I got a call from the school wanting to know if the prom kids could come up on April 2nd. I am hoping that I will not have to tell them, nope, you have to go to Bismarck. I'm not sure how to get this changed.
Well, the
From where
first
we're
one
at.
you said, the Hospitality Association, they said they've never heard of it, which I find really weird because it's right in the century code.
He had never heard of a city fighting this issue or a restaurant having this issue.
Well, I don't think we're fighting, we just expect the law to be followed, that's, that's the way I look at it anyway. We can't give our blessings for something that is per se
So-
against the law.
But my question is, how do we change that?
Well, that's a good
'Cause
question.
clearly there's other Buffalo Wild Wings, all these other places that can allow
So
kids.
those are restaurants, correct?
Okay, so who says we're a restaurant versus a bar though? Because that was kind of what we asked last time of like, great, how do we get changed to be a restaurant? Well, food sales, if food sales is the kind of the deciding factor, I don't know if that's true or not, but like you have to have over 50% food sales. Like for 2021, we had 587,000 in food and 406 in alcohol. We definitely have been working more at becoming more of a restaurant as well. We're closing at 11 Monday through Thursday.
Well, are you, say your business that's licensed as a bar, correct?
I guess I don't know.
I believe so, that's what you had mentioned
Like
last
through the
time
liquor
that we
license?
were here, that we were licensed as a bar. Yeah, and we're wondering, can we, relicense as a restaurant? We make those qualifications, we'll pay relicensing fees if that's what it takes, or, whatever it might take, so that we are within the law, like
Well-
you're saying, but where we can
Yeah.
function and operate as a restaurant.
That would not be up to us, to do, you'd have to, I don't know, however you're incorporated or whatever, I mean, that would be up to
Well, it's
that, I
a
would.
Captain's Cabin LLC.
Okay.
Did you say you did reach out to the Attorney General's office? And they
Yes.
didn't- Yeah, and they didn't have an answer for you?
No. So that's where I'm stuck. Like, I get that you're not gonna be like, yep, go ahead,
Right.
ignore the rules. I'm not asking for that at all.
Right.
I'm
No, I
saying,
get
how
it.
do we get this changed? And nobody knows how, so I'm like, well, where am I supposed to go with this? Just turn everybody away? It's hard enough in this industry the way it is, so that's kind of where I'm at.
But the way it looks in here, there is, it's a little different for a bar as opposed to a restaurant. And I'm sure you've read through this.
I have.
Yeah.
So how do we become a restaurant then?
Well, that I don't know.
Because that is a big part of it. Like, we bought a hole-in-the-wall dive bar. I love hole-in-the-wall dive bars myself, don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
it's definitely evolved into a restaurant, so.
So technically speaking, you'd be allowing kids that aren't eligible to drink then into the bar and restaurant as per se, because the restaurant is actually part of the bar then.
They wouldn't be allowed to sit up at the rail as they are now.
Because I think like, I'm not sure, like Applebee's and, Buffalo Wild Wings, they got completely separate deals. Like the Ground Round, there's one side that's the bar, and then there's one side that's the restaurant, right? But then you can drink back and forth through ordering when you order a meal. But
I believe so.
there's a designated area.
Yeah, I don't know how they.
So I don't,
And I think another thing to go along with that, I'm not positive on this, but as long, you can serve, kids can be in there too and serving alcohol, but what sets you apart from a bar, from a restaurant, I think, is that you stay open later than your kitchen does, which is no problem. You close at 11, your kitchen closes at 10. If you close at 11, then your kitchen stays open. That's, I think, one of the things too that
I have heard that as well, that you still have to offer food, which
Yes.
we do offer frozen pizzas.
your
From 10 to
grill,
11.
the grill, as long as there's a grill in there that can cook and you blah, 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 then it's fine. But if that kitchen closes and the bar's still open, then it becomes a bar. How they interpret that, I don't know, but I know that is one of the things that it makes the difference of it being a restaurant and a bar.
Well, that'd be an easy fix.
Yeah, I mean, we have pizzas from 10 to 11.
because the way it was before, one side was the pizza place and the other side was the bar.
Well, originally.
Yeah, that's how it originally was.
Originally,
But
it was
I don't
just bar and
remember.
wine. It was just beer and wine originally. It
Yeah.
was never a full liquor place either.
Right.
So.
And I know there is something changing in August of '22, and I don't know if it's the jurisdiction of having it separated or not, but I know that was passed in legislature, and there's something to change with that coming in August of '22. But I don't exactly know for sure what that is, so that might be worth looking into as well.
So she could possibly talk to one of our district representatives, they might know what's coming.
So yeah, and it's probably easy to find what, because there was a House bill that was changed
Oh, it was.
back in last legislature.
Okay.
So I did contact my personal attorney for the guidance of the Missy, and she basically was like, well, what do you need me to change? I'm like, I don't know, nobody knows what to tell me to change, so how do I move forward?
That needs to change, or, what was it, I'm
It's
sorry.
it's a state century code.
State century code, thank you,
Yeah.
okay, that's what it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause we're bound by that.
Right, so
Yeah.
how do state century codes change?
Legislature.
Okay.
Yeah.
And do you know the House bill that changed off the, okay, I don't either. I just know
There's a general index on the.
Yeah, I just know there's one of them, and it's changing in August. But I know when I was at my spring conference, one of the things that was mentioned in there was the separation of the restaurant and having it blocked off, which I know why it made it a little bit easier for you. Just the main thing is that no kids can be within 3 feet of the bar sitting there. They cannot be at the height, or at the actual bar, and within 3 feet of the bar.
And those are under the guidelines of a parent or legal guardian, right?
Well, yeah, that's century code, that they cannot sit right at the bar because that is the bar.
Right, they couldn't do that either way, right.
Yep.
And then another thing that could possibly help you guys too is, depending on when you reapply for your liquor license come next year, is putting that as a restaurant on your tables. And I don't know what that does for licensing then, but I know there are people that do that have kids there, instead of marking it all as bar. That's another thing that I usually look into.
Look into it, yeah.
So coming back to this graduation stuff, how does that correct their problem that way?
It doesn't, we send them to Bismarck instead of giving a local business.
So technically,
You can cater it.
technically speaking, then they can't come into the bar then for graduation then, the way it is right now.
Correct.
Well, but doesn't it,
But if they have like a couple of adults that come and chaperone it,
but isn't that stated with a legal guardian?
Yes, they have to have their parents or
Parents or
live
legal
there.
guardian.
Now, I guess to me, and I'm no attorney, but when you have your kids in school, that school is the guardian of your kids,
They're
right?
not legal guardian,
They're
no.
not legal guardian, no.
There's a difference.
But, okay, so what happens
Accompanied
if
by a
a
parent
form
or
is
guardian.
signed that authorizes one of the teachers to be the legal
The
guardian?
legal
for
guardian
this
is
event?
appointed by the courts, actually. If you
It
look
just
it up.
says by parent or guardian.
Well, if you look it up, though, it's appointed by the courts, a legal guardian is.
A restaurant if accompanied by a parent or legal guardian.
That's on Century Code?
Right there.
So if they wanted to come in, you'd have to have the parents with them.
Right.
So couldn't you get around it by, say, catering it that night and then closing the bar off that night?
Closing the bar off, like, oh, you mean kind of making it like a private event, where they like rent out?
Well, yeah, you close the bar off, say, for 3 hours, and then, have them come in after prom or something, would that work?
Or have it at a golf course.
No, but-
Cater it at a golf course.
You could cater it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Well, the issue is just gonna keep coming up, so I
It
guess
is,
we're
yeah.
trying to look at how do we not necessarily get a special permit for that particular prom event? How do we get this?
You're looking for a long,
Changed.
you're looking for a long-term
Correct.
solution. Yeah.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, we had a group of students last week, which I will admit I took wrong with the guardian thing. It was a band group, 44 students from Turtle Lake Mercer, along with their teachers and band teachers, on a school bus that came in. They had called and asked, and I'm like, yeah, as long as you have the teachers and guardians there with them. It was a noon event on a Tuesday afternoon. I assumed that it was cool because they're with their guardians, like Colin said, I assumed it the same
They're
way.
on a
They're
field
with their
trip,
teachers,
yeah.
they signed documents, their parents have signed saying that they're with these teachers for the day. We had zero issues, they were very respectful, everything was cool, I'm happy we could accommodate them. looking at like a prom group in a different way. It's like, well, it's a Saturday night, if you got a bunch of 16-year-olds, you know, at a table without their parents, I can see the different situations, but either way, we're just trying to provide a community or service to the community. That's it. We want to be able to have our Washburn kids come to our Washburn restaurant. That's all, so
And I can
however we move
understand,
forward.
I can understand your frustration, because, I mean, not in this case, but I've gone through in business for over 40 years where you feel like you're pulling teeth trying to get definitions on legislation, you know, and even talk to legislators, what do you mean? And they don't even know.
Right.
You know, and it's hard because you go to all the right places and you still come away with non-answers. And I understand your frustration, but, you know, we're tied up in the fact where they wrote this legislation, we as a city government can't usurp it, you know. I mean, we can look for, like Don said, which is a lot of work for you. You know, it's not a loophole. You're literally closing your other part of it and doing this. And I don't even know if that would work. I would check with an attorney. But I guess, you know, I sympathize with you because I've had to do things also like that where you want to do it legally by the law. And the phone calls that you have to make and the hoops you have to go through. But I don't really know where there's any other option except to whether you go through your own attorney, whether you try to talk to someone else at the Attorney General's office to try and come up with clarification of what do I have to do, you know, to get to where I want to be, you know, and get that information, and then we can act off of that, you know, to see where it goes. But yeah, it's very
Yeah.
frustrating.
So how do,
I'm not really sure.
we got a facility over in Underwood,
Mhm.
same thing, now how do they do it?
Yeah.
I think part of this
You know?
is just that we shouldn't have started asking questions in the first place,
Probably.
because trying to do it the right way is probably not the,
Yeah, that's a question, a good question, because I thought the same thing.
Well, and
I
I've brought this
disagree.
up
I don't know
before,
how to do that.
you know,
it's
some,
McCluskey, it's everywhere, it's,
yeah.
I guess the question is, in Underwood, or do they let just anybody in there?
But
Or
when I talked to
do
the
they have
ones
to
in,
be with the
I
parents?
think so.
when I talked to the ones from Underwood,
Oh,
that was set up with the state because that law was just coming in, and they went through the state's, Attorney General when they did it, and it's a restaurant, not a bar.
That's a restaurant, okay.
That's what the auditor in Underwood told me, because the city commission had nothing to do with that one. That was set up differently somehow.
because when I specifically pointed out to Missy, I said, what defines us as a bar versus a restaurant that also has alcohol? Nobody knows how I change this information. And her I explained to Applebee's, Buffalo Wild Wings, blah, 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 how do other places do this? I don't know where to turn. I'm just looking for clarification or direction.
Right.
I'm not able to provide legal advice or guidance.
Can you be classified as a restaurant primary and then a bar secondary, where that wouldn't come into effect on the law then? You know what I'm saying?
I do, and I don't know,
Don't know how
because
to
this
do it,
is
though.
who is the licensing person, so.
Right.
And I thought restaurants didn't have off sale.
Yeah, because the roasted rail does too.
I think they can have us.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Taco Bell too, same,
You need to have.
same
I
thing.
think that one up in Riverdale has also.
Instead of do it by the phone.
Yeah.
I had to do that a couple times.
So when we do the liquor license, that's through the city though, right?
Yes.
So to me.
There's city and the state, there's both.
Right, but what I'm saying is, okay, I don't know if we can do it mid-year, but change it to Captain's Cabin Restaurant. Then the liquor license, put Captain's Cabin Restaurant. It's now a restaurant.
I don't know how that works, to be honest.
Well, I would think you would see a little more than that.
No, but now you become a restaurant, so if anybody says, well, but your bar.
Because it doesn't say bar
primarily-
now, it just says Captain's
Right.
Cabin.
But I don't know whether the setup of it would have to change.
Doesn't it say bar and grill on your sign outside?
But the LLC is just, like, all our paperwork, all our
Right.
stuff is just LLC.
Yeah.
Well, I would almost assume your attorney could tell you that, though, you know, what you would have to do to change that. I mean,
Right, that's, exactly.
So it's at the state level, not the city level.
it's at the
As far
city
as- as
level.
far as the
and-
century code,
And
that would
basically,
be
our
state.
ordinance says, you know, right in there that you have to follow that century code. So,
So I will tell the Sound Group that is not an option.
I'm sorry about that.
It's just
But
sad.
It is sad.
We do a lot for the community, we pay a lot in taxes, we pay a lot in sales tax, property tax, income tax.
you know, I really hope that you can get this figured out and then, you know, get it changed so that, I mean, we need another place to eat in town. You know, everything else closes at 3:00. So,
Yeah, like I said, I've been through similar things, and it is frustrating.
yeah.
You know,
Trying to do it the right way,
Exactly,
and
to try and-
roadblock, so.
Yeah, and I don't want you guys to get mad, because I come in there twice a week.
Appreciate that.
Yeah, go more often.
Is
Put it in the
this, totally
food.
off subject, is this about the August 22nd change?
No,
the
that's just a payment date.
Updated liquor ordinance change?
No, that's, in our ordinance, it had it that we couldn't deposit your guys' liquor license checks until February 1st.
Oh,
But, okay, they're
That's already a date for that?
No, they're approved in December, so I didn't understand why we had to hold on to them till February. It made no sense to me, so I'm changing it from February to January 1st.
Yeah, we're just.
Otherwise, then it sits there, you guys are all wondering,
Yeah.
it's annoying,
Okay,
so
well,
I'm
I
changing it.
will keep working on this. Thank you for
Sorry,
listening. No.
Yeah, sorry. Then we'd be breaking the law. Thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
Let me know when you're done writing, Chelsea.
You're good.
Okay. American Legion, lighting in the dining room. Mike, I'm guessing it's on you and...
Daryl.
There you go.
Daryl, there we go.
Daryl, you snuck in late.
The two guys are coming up.
Oh.
We got Bruce too. Now we're in trouble.
Bruce and Daryl.
You probably know more about that lighting than I do. Probably, but that's okay. You're here to talk about it.
Well, I think the thing was, I think at some time the city talked about replacing those lights in the dining room with LED lights in the past. I guess we want to know if you plan on doing that in the future, or what your plans are, since they're, you know.
Good question.
We are working on some bids. I got another bid. We're trying to work on a grant. So that is our plan, is to upgrade the hall and the Memorial Hall and the City Hall. So we're...
Excuse me, Mike, you're talking about everything in Memorial Hall?
The
Downstairs.
Downstairs in the dining room and the kitchen,
Okay.
and a couple lights in the furnace room so we can see better.
Just through the hallway?
Yeah, and we didn't get the exact bids on the hallway yet. But then, as we were talking to the one guy, we were talking about the incandescent lights over the bathrooms and over the kitchen and stuff, because they're so inefficient and
Right.
stuff. If we can get a grant, try to retrofit that to LEDs is what we're thinking.
Sure.
And when I talked to Brad, he said the fixtures look all right. A lot of them are 4 fluorescent bulbs in it, and we might be able to put 2 LEDs or 3, depends on how much light we have. And we also talked about maybe making them dimmable so that we don't make it too bright for certain things. So we're in the process of getting some of this information.
Were you talking about the hallway also? Because those were just replaced downstairs.
I don't know if we went to LED on there. I did not put that in the quote downstairs.
That's
We
terrible
just-
lighting down there.
We just
The
went,
hallway though? Oh, yeah. Because that was just replaced when
That's
they put the
terrible.
elevator in.
well, that's just, I think, the elevator lights, right?
No, they went all the way down, put in like new wiring and everything, all the way down, right?
Yeah, but still
Those lights
pretty
do-
dark.
Yeah, I
They
think
are-
so. I
they are
haven't looked at it, but I did.
So probably better than what was there, so.
Yep, go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yep.
We'll have to wait until everybody's done talking, or what?
Right, and we
Yeah,
didn't
we'll
look at
just wait.
those bulbs exactly. I was more concerned about, these
Right.
couple other things first,
Okay.
and getting some estimates, so.
Can I ask a question on that?
Yeah.
What, did you have an idea, I mean, just a rough figure, what it was gonna cost before you went out for bids?
No.
Do you have any idea, or?
I didn't have any idea. That's why I figured with you guys getting a bid for the hall and the kitchen there, and I got one from, Western Lighting and Technology.
Brad Whitty.
Brad Whitty, and he said that there was also maybe a grant that we can use. So, that's what we were working on.
Saving money.
But we were thinking about just staying with the original fixtures because they're not all broke up. And I need to talk to a few more people Because I think the ceiling is all right, or put a ceiling in like this at some time, instead of what's down there right now.
Yeah, that ceiling in the dining room is absolutely horrid.
Right. So, we were working on this, but we haven't gotten real far yet.
Okay, my turn?
Your turn, yep.
Okay, it started with the lighting in the hallway, and that certainly could be improved, especially with motion detector lights or whatever kind of lights you want to use. But the other problem I'm focusing on is in the kitchen room and the dining room. Don't bring me in on any of the lights on the upstairs, up on the...
Correct.
Okay, so let me focus on the downstairs. Okay, this is where for the LED lights in the dining room, I suggest, now this is my suggestion, this is not American Legion, this is mine.
Yep.
And I suggest you take that ceiling down and you get that area painted and leave those beams exposed, and then put the lightings up in after that. It'll clean it all up, and it'll look anew. I've seen it done before, our church did it, and it really looks nice. And then some of the people will tell you that it will cause a sound problem of echoing. And I just got done talking to Newly about that today, and he says they did it over here at the Iron Ore. Is that what that's called? At the Iron Bar in Underwood?
Rusted Rail.
Rusted Rail, there's one of them, okay, the Rusted Rail. And they said they did that there, and they ran into a problem with noise, and all they did was just put up a little bit of baffle between the beams, and we could do that too if that noise and echoing is going to be a problem up there. But Newly also said that your ceiling is rather short. He says, I don't think you're going to have that problem. But this is just an idea, but if you're gonna change out the lighting and stuff like that, I'd take that ceiling right out and paint it. It really looks nice, a nice dark, nice black color.
You have to remember too, though, there's areas where there's great big holes in that ceiling, like for when we put that new kitchen in.
Yep.
It's big holes, so they can get all the plumbing and stuff down through there.
Yep,
There's a lot of stuff like that.
Yep, you'll have to clean that up, duct tape that up, whatever, plaster it, whatever, put boards up there. And then once you do get that cleaned up, then you paint it, you'll never be able to see it. If it's a dark color, a brown or a black, you'll never be able to see it. Only you will, because you did it, like in your own house. But the other thing, okay, that's the lighting.
That's an idea.
That's just an idea, and it's coming from me, okay?
Yeah.
Don't
So
say
would that include putting in new fixtures then?
No, you're gonna have to put new fixtures in regardless, okay? So this is, if you're gonna go new, then why don't you just go with a new ceiling? And then there's a whole bunch of ideas that come up when you go new, especially with LEDs. You can go very nice, fancy, or whatever. There's so many more options available to you. But if you stay with the old ones, then you're like trapped, okay? And I know that Weber's is working on stuff for Mike here. Okay, can you switch the subject now?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, okay.
You got the floor.
Okay, good. On the kitchen part, we're gonna go in there and change the lighting, and I've got a bid down here, and I can tell you what it's for, and I don't know who's going to pay for it, but I'm just gonna tell you what it's for.
This is for lighting?
This is the kitchen.
Kitchen lighting.
I'm kinda giving...
Kitchen lighting.
Kitchen electrical.
All right.
And I'm giving you just an update so you can tell me that I'm doing okay, that I shouldn't do this,
All right.
or whatever. Okay, it's provide 120 volt power to gas water heater, install new lights, demo away from the old wiring from the window, install outlets for the kitchen, install outlets for the serving window, install outlets in the dining room area for coax, for cables for Cat 5 and Cat 6, and then an outlet in the ceiling for the serving table. So when they have the serving table there, we're going to have outlets come down and do that. and install outlets for stoves. Okay, the first thing, if you guys, heard me right, it's a 120 volt power to gas water heater. And Mike was telling me that you guys just put a brand new water heater in there. Okay, the other option for us, because right up there by that sink, it takes forever to get that water there. Should I give you guys time to answer before I keep going? I just.
Yeah, because you're basically talking, you want a ready fire heater right close to the sink.
Yeah.
Talking in the downstairs?
That's what he's
Downstairs.
talking
In the
about,
kitchen.
right?
It takes forever to get hot water there?
And I
Yes.
don't know
Not that
why.
far away.
I'm going to answer that.
Yeah.
I'm going
Okay.
to answer that, Larry.
Okay.
Okay. Have I still got the floor?
Yep.
Okay, either go with that electric water heater or put it in a circulating pump there that circulates the water. The problem, we don't get hot water there, and I tested, I let it run and watched it, is that it's not insulated. The water pipe that's going through that area is not insulated. It might be just fine in the summertime, but when I did this test and it was cold out, it took forever, and Levy came and looked at that and says, oh my gosh, this line's not even insulated. So that's maybe one thing that we could do, and that might take care of the problem, and it might not. But the other thing is the circulating pump, okay? And I figured the cost for the circulating pump or the water heater to be about the same, and that's what Levy said also.
Do you have costs on any of this, or?
$7,000 was the total cost. I don't have it broke down per item.
Well, that would include the wiring and all?
Yep, just for the kitchen.
Okay, the wiring, that includes all the outlets,
Yep,
all the materials and everything,
yes,
and the changing of the wire and the coaxial,
yep.
but not the coaxial for the dining area.
Exactly. Exactly, not for the dining, I'm just talking kitchen. We already discussed the dining room just a little while ago, I'm done with that. Okay?
Sure.
Now, the other thing that I know Weber's is working on, Larry, if I could have your attention,
I am, I'm just looking over that way.
is,
I'm paying attention.
that service center that we talked about when we put this whole system in is gonna be redone. Or can be redone, or it's gonna get a quote to get redone. It's gonna be your choice whether you get it redone or not. And you're gonna have to put in, take some of that stuff out. I don't know, how you guys feel about that? Just leave it?
What stuff are you talking about?
The 400 amp main disconnect, a great big, 2-foot square box that's not needed. The breakers for the fans and heaters that are obsolete.
It needs to be updated.
Yes,
Yes, it does. I mean, yep. I mean, little by little, you know, I mean, we can't do everything at once, but, you know,
yep,
little by little. I mean, we definitely want to bring it up to code, make everything safe.
So by taking those boxes out, then you have to change and put something else in there, an additional, or would they be gone for good?
They would be gone for good, and actually all that's they're being used for right now is just junction boxes. Okay, we went in there and put in a nice 400 amp
Right,
main.
I know that.
Paid a lot. Now we can come right off of that and feed our panels, and everything will be up to
So
date.
if you took all that stuff out of there, it would be gone, it doesn't have any function whatsoever there.
Yep, yep. I really don't want you to do anything at this meeting about that. I just want you to know what's going on.
Right, right.
What's happening, and that's all this meeting that I'm here for, is just to tell you. Now, the other important thing is that I'm to the point where I want to take the sink out. And when I take the sink out within a matter of a couple of weeks, that the kitchen down there will be really unusable, okay? They got by with it these last couple of functions. So I'm wondering if there's any functions going on downstairs or anything like that.
How long will it be unusable?
Until Terry Gorshak comes back.
What if he doesn't come back?
Yeah, there you go. The sink is kind of his project, his baby, but I told him that I was gonna get it out for him. Get it out and get Levy down there working on the plumbing.
Yeah.
So do we have anything coming up down there in the near future?
There's nothing scheduled as of right now. I didn't verify that before the meeting, but
Yeah, I think I still have a.
I will double check, but to the best of my knowledge, there has been nothing scheduled down there.
So that'd probably be out until June then, huh?
Oh, no, I don't think so. March, April, May. No, we should have it in by May.
Think so?
I think so. Sometime maybe, okay, 1st of June.
I mean, we haven't been asked, I guess, but there are people that have in the past rented it for graduation. They have not asked us yet about it or if it's available, but I do know there has been families that have rented the basement out for graduation.
So we would like to have that
So that's just a thought.
somewhat usable at that time.
Well, you know, the
You're
construction
looking at mid-May.
upsets.
Mid-May.
Mid-May.
Terry doesn't get back until mid-April.
Do you know, does he have the sink ordered? 2 months?
No.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we could take it out in June then and still
Yep.
be ready for the fall then and get past the graduation stuff if anybody rents it, and then we'll be in good shape.
Very good. Yeah, that's the info I wanted to know.
Sure.
No, we can wait, always. If it's okay
Let's
with,
wait.
if it's all right with you guys, we'll go ahead and get it ordered and get it here.
How are you doing with the cabinets?
The cabinets are pulled out, and the bottom cabinets are pulled out. And then, I think we're gonna start building the shelf here next week or so. Yeah. We're not sure what we're gonna do on the shelving yet. Did you guys wanna put some money towards that, or cost share?
Well, I'm sure that we probably will, but, you know, I mean, without actually knowing what's going on, what it's gonna cost, I mean, that's kinda, you know, or are you just asking for a blanket, donation of X amount of dollars?
Yeah, now we're talking.
Larry will write the check out.
With no stipulation.
Don has so much money, you know.
Yeah. No, we'll work it out.
Can we get a copy of that stuff you
Yep.
have, or?
Yeah. Who makes copies?
She does.
Thank you. You can actually keep that if you like.
Just keep this one?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, if you need it, I can
No,
make you
that-
another copy.
I'll be able to get one from Weber's. and
Okay.
Park.
Okay.
Yeah. And the other thing. Any questions for me?
So this is just informational only, you're not looking for any direction right now?
I just got some direction here just a little bit
Yeah.
ago.
Right.
Yep.
So we're still gonna have to do the outlets in there,
Yeah.
right?
One would think.
So we wanna get started with that. They can start working
Yep.
on roughing that in.
Yeah.
Or getting, you know, those extra outlets, you know.
Yeah. They're gonna-
Before you start building, you wanna have that done.
Yeah, the outlets are coming down or going in, one or the other.
Right.
This updating thing might come up a little sooner than what you think.
I get it.
And I know it, yep, I know it, Larry, and it's gonna cost a lot of money. He's working on that bid, and he'll get it.
Okay.
It's gonna take a while.
Yeah.
It's been neglected too long now.
Yeah, but I'm not gonna do anything to jeopardize that or whatever. The only thing that's going to hurt is I'm gonna have to take out some receptacles to get some work done, but then I'm just gonna have to run an extension cord to get this and that. And same thing with the graduation. When the graduation comes, they may have to run extension cords to and from.
That'd be no problem for them at all.
Then
And
you know.
if there's nothing booked by the end of April for graduation,
Yep.
I mean, I don't foresee, you know, by the end of April, beginning of May, then you guys should be able to go pursue it, but,
I'll double check.
yeah, no one's contacted us yet, but I just know that there has been people in the past that have used that basement for graduation parties, so.
Yep. I know I put my note down there probably in January or before I even started, don't schedule anything. And I don't know if that note is still in there, but if you would continue that note, that would be good.
I can take a look.
Yep, yeah. But if the graduations, they pull rank, you know, pretty much anybody pulls rank.
Well, I guess my question is, if the kitchen's tore apart, like all the cabinets and stuff out and all that stuff, is the kitchen even usable
Yeah,
down there?
that's a good point.
Well,
It's not even usable.
We just had a Legion birthday down there.
Last week.
Yeah, we just had a birthday down there. I put a table in front of that stand and you couldn't even tell it was missing.
Yep.
And then you still have the water, you know, to do a
Yeah.
few dishes and
Yeah, and
cooking and
refrigerators
everything.
down there.
So you use roasters that you did, or?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, roasters, yeah, I can see that, but,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah.
What I'd like to ask you to do is to insulate that line and let us know if that takes care of our hot water problem.
I'll
We can have our
insulate the
Or
line,
we can have our guys do it, if, you know.
yeah.
Well, yeah,
You
you
guys
just buy
have
some of
that
those wraps.
Right, exactly. Because I wanna see if that works before we tear out the sink and see if that helps our hot water.
I don't think it's gonna help.
Unless that's being used constantly, that insulation, you're just wasting your money on insulation.
Yeah, it's not gonna be, it's not
Because
gonna be.
it's gonna sit there, and it's just, yeah, that's
You just put in that auxiliary water heater.
either gonna have to put in a circulator pump or a point of use water heater.
The
Yeah,
thing in the winter, that room is cold. It
it's
just
very
is,
cold,
you
yeah.
know?
Right.
I mean,
If you have the
it could help a
insulation.
little once it gets moved, but yeah, for the little bit of water that you use down there,
I mean, I've tried it in my basement, trust me, it doesn't work,
it's not gonna have much, very little.
so.
What do you suggest, a point of use heater or a circulating pump? And the circulating pump ain't gonna be on all the time anyway. We can put that on a motion detector switch, as soon as anybody walks into the kitchen, then it comes on.
I mean, something like that, you know, point of, you know, use, all that depends, you know, depending on how hot you want it, because it's based on flow and temperature of the water.
Yeah.
So in the wintertime, you know, that water's colder coming in, so it's not gonna get as hot.
Yeah.
What size water heater they put in?
That's a big one.
Yeah, it's huge.
It's a big one over there.
Is it?
I guess how far of a distance is it
Probably
from?
No, it's only like
15
about-
feet?
Well,
At the
maybe
most.
It's at least
30 feet of
I'd say
pipe.
30, yeah, you're probably close to 30.
Yeah, it depends on where the pipe runs, but yeah, because it's not that far, it's just from the steps to the door of the kitchen,
Yeah.
and that's not real far.
Is
Why wouldn't you want
is
to
it
use
easy
that
to
water heater? I mean,
plumb a line, another line?
Then you can use water heater.
You have
Electric
to,
line?
if you're gonna do the circulating. You-
No, but is it easy to do that?
Yes, they're gonna have to do something anyway.
Okay.
Yeah. We're going to, good question. Along with this plumbing, I don't have no quote on the plumbing, and that would have brought up a few questions too. We're going to reroute that pipe, that's going there, wherever it goes. That one back along the wall by the door. Okay, that's coming out of there. And, we're either gonna bring the pipe around on the left-hand side of the window, okay? Bring it around there into the sink, or either or.
Right.
And if we're going to put a point of use heater, that's where the point of use heater was going to go, right there. On the left-hand side where the fire extinguisher is right now.
If you do a point of use heater, then you gotta make sure you get power over that too for
Yep,
firemen.
that was in that quote.
Okay,
That was in that quote. It's either the power for that or the pump.
okay.
So the price is about the same,
Yeah.
whether you go with the pump or whether you go with the point of use heater.
Levy was saying, yeah, it should be about the same. Weber Electric, it might be a little different. But I think there's pretty close to the same.
Because he made a good point, if you've already got a good-sized hot water heater there that's fairly new, you know, maybe the pump would be the way to go to access that.
Me too.
Yeah, because they have one in here, the recirculating pump.
Yeah. I have one too. I like it.
Yeah.
And if you don't have to have them running all the time,
Right.
and that's where Weber or one of the two said, just put it on a motion detector switch. As soon as anybody walks into the kitchen, bang, it comes on, your hot water pump is working. And other than that, it goes on.
Okay.
So that's,
Yeah.
that's a little bit of savings.
So we have this estimate here, what is that? It's like an electrical room?
Well, the Weber one was,
Oh, did you get that? Did you get that?
we got some of these.
That was like 15 grand. for
Oh,
the-
that's what I was just talking to you about.
Right, exactly.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Because that's the panels down here and stuff, that was
Yep,
what he sent over.
yep, you got it then.
Yep.
Okay. I mean, this is a lot of stuff to boom, you know.
Yeah.
We need to, I think, look at this, we need to, compare quotes, we need to, sit down and put all them prices, and, rather than having all these different people like this, and I think so, yeah, but you presented a lot there, and I appreciate that.
Yep.
But, you know, but at the same time, you know, it'd be nice to get going on this too, because.
We're going,
you've got-
it's a long,
Yeah.
slow, steady rate, but we're
Right.
moving ahead.
Right, right, but,
Yep.
you know, but we gotta be on board with what we're doing now, so.
Yep.
And you're doing a good job down there too, because that looks a lot different than it did.
Thank you, Don. If we could get that ceiling taken away from there, that would be a big plus.
That is really ugly.
It
So
is.
what's underneath there exactly? I've never
Steel
looked up
beams,
there.
There's trusses, steel trusses, a whole bunch of them.
Steel trusses, and then there's, wire mesh that concrete was just poured on top of. Yeah, you just lift up a couple panels, you'll see what's
Yeah.
under there, so,
I'd like to go more like something like this.
I would too. But
But
we'll look at it.
we'll work with that
Okay,
too.
I'll tell you what I would do. If it was my place and I owned it, I would put pro foam on it. I would spray it with foam insulation, spray the whole thing with foam insulation. There you take care of your noise, and then you could paint over the foam insulation. Done.
That's an idea.
That's a good idea.
That's cool. Okay, any other questions for these guys? Thank you, guys.
I had one more trivia. While I'm walking out, I'll just bring it up. Is it okay if I get rid of all the salt and pepper shakers, and then we all use these paper salt and pepper shakers, these paper things?
No. I don't know. Why do you wanna throw them away?
Because I'm tired of hauling them all the way from downstairs, all the way downstairs, all the way to the net. They're duty.
Well, just leave them at one spot and then use paper on the other.
We'll start off with paper.
Or half and half, whatever.
Let's keep moving here, guys.
Okay,
We got
thank
us
you
one
guys,
minute.
thank you.
You looked pretty good the other day
Chelsea might
hauling
lose
them
her
all
bet.
the way.
Yeah.
On what time do we get out of here?
Richard?
Not yet.
Is your bet 8 o'clock?
Not yet.
9?
Take care there, buddy.
Yep, thank you. See you then.
That is it. We're still doing okay.
Mm-hmm.
Faster than I thought. So there was a planning and zoning recommendation, for, everybody knows it's the old, Norquist building down there for a awning, kind of on the, back on the 7th Street side. Planning and zoning recommended approval on that, so it comes to the city commission.
So I would move that we would approve that.
Second it.
Discussion, Colin?
That's the overhang on the.
That's the overhang, yeah.
Just an overhang.
Just the
on
overhang.
Northwest building.
Right. I guess I'm just gonna, yeah, never mind, it's a different, is this gonna tie into the property cleanup also?
Well, this here, I think we need,
This is just the planning and zoning
we either
recommendation.
approve or
period.
disapprove this first.
Okay.
This is a separate item.
Right.
All right.
Did you say yes?
Oh, yes.
Yes.
I thought we were still in discussion mode.
Gets kind
Yes.
of confusing at times.
So, yeah, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
Take care.
Okay, now, we go to property cleanup, building permit. It's been talked about that, you know, since we've had this letter, it's been, quite some time since it was sent out, we talked to you about it last time. That, you know, we probably wouldn't grant any more building permits until that gets cleaned up over there.
So, if you go there today, you will find out there are 2 pallets on the lot to the south of the bunkhouse.
Okay.
And a Caterpillar, and that's it.
Okay.
There are no trailers.
Well, I haven't been over there today, so.
There are no trailers on any of the property at all.
Okay.
And I do have some metal that still needs to go on the building that's frozen to the ground right now.
Imagine that.
Imagine that, right?
I will come look at it tomorrow, if that works with everybody.
I also heard a complaint about rental property that you might have that.
Okay,
a whole bunch
we're-
of things. Oh, but
No,
that's
no, no,
different.
no,
Okay.
this is
Oh,
about
this
that.
is just this, okay. I
This is
thought it was
about that.
cleanup.
No. So I will inspect that tomorrow, and if everything looks good, then
Okay, we'll leave it up to Larry then.
we'll leave it be. Okay, perfect. Love it. Thank you for dealing with that, we sure appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep. Clean Sheridan water rate increase, Mr. Severson.
Oh, like a dummy, I didn't bring any of my notes, but Larry and, huh?
It's real easy.
Yeah, I know. Larry and I met with, Lynn and Ann to discuss rate increases since the city opted to increase as well. We're doing the same dollar increase to McLean Sheridan. And I'll find it here. Not prepared, there we go.
It's the same rate as over 2,000 gallons.
Right,
for-
over
for
2,000
residents,
gallons, right.
Which is .005 cents per gallon.
Right. And we agreed to that increase as well.
So I will make the motion that we raise the McLean Sheridan rate to .005 per gallon,
Effective when?
effective this billing cycle, this next billing cycle.
Next
So it'll be
billing cycle.
the end of March, they agreed to that.
I will second that.
Discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes, yes.
Yes.
Second, is that?
Thank you.
Second reading, back flow prevention ordinance, excuse me, number 157. I'm gonna make the motion to forgo the reading and accept it as written.
Second.
Discussion? Colin?
We're still in discussion phase here.
Yep.
We are.
This is to accept the ordinance, or just to forego the reading?
Forgo the reading.
Forgo the reading.
Okay, aye.
Yes.
Aye.
I think you should read it, but I'll say yes too.
Yes. Why, did you read it?
Yes, I have.
Well, there you go. Okay, now I will make a motion to approve the second and final passage of ordinance 157.
I'll second that also, so we can discuss it.
Discussion?
Again, I stated it up front, I'm gonna say it again. This is just opening the door for more future government intrusion. I think it should be not allowed, period. I'm not at all for this. You can mark my words, that it's this now, but then it's gonna be eventually households, and it's just gonna be more further government intrusion,
Oh, I know.
so.
So do we have much choice in the matter?
You always have a choice.
Not always.
Do you have much choice in the matter, Adam?
I don't know what'll happen if we don't do it. So I guess we have a choice, but
It's a
we
requirement.
are tasked with enforcing this particular, law.
Is this in the plumbing code already? Has this already been in, like your plumbing license when you do stuff? Is that already in here?
The plumbing code has, all these different things on cross connections and, you
Right,
know, when to
so-
do all this stuff. So the plumbing code, this is more, I think, that we actually go out, Adam, we actually go out and make sure it's being followed, is that correct? Pretty much?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been in the Safe Drinking Water Act since its inception,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, I just didn't want to double the regulations.
Just hasn't been enforced in at least North Dakota anyway.
It basically, it gives us the authority to survey all the service connections within the distribution system.
So in other words, is the city liable for putting this stuff in, or is the business owner liable for putting it in?
The business owner is.
Are they expensive to put in?
Depends on what type it is.
Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter, okay.
Have you gotten most of the responses back, Chelsea?
We got over half, didn't we?
We got about 80%.
Okay. Much issue with them, and, not that it makes any difference, but,
Not really.
okay.
Yeah, about half of the ones that we got back, we have to go out and survey. The others answered no, so we don't have to go.
Okay.
Any other discussion? Colin?
No?
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That one's done. Okay, reading of the tree ordinance number 156. Tim, you had a couple of corrections before we do the first reading?
Right, if you go to, B, section 3B,
Second page.
second page, under number 1 here, it says, originally it said, from the curb and sidewalk, the distance trees may be planted from curbs or curb lines and sidewalks will be in accordance. I was looking at striking the or and the curb lines and installing may be planted from curbs, comma, property lines, comma, and sidewalks. Because that would include everything, like when, and then it would go to the guidance of, depending how big the tree is, whether it's 40 foot, 30 foot, 20 foot, what your variance has to be. This only spoke to planting it on the boulevard. Had nothing to do, for example, in an alley where someone would want to plant a 40-foot tree right on the property line. So it grows back out into the alley. It would give that same distance that the person on the property line would have to move it in to allow allowable space, you know, for that tree to grow without encroaching over into somebody else's property or into the alley. You know,
Why would that make a difference?
like into the alley?
Yeah.
If you drive through some of our alleys, there are trees that were planted on the property line, even over the property line, that are growing into the alley, and then the city has to come through and trim them all out. It gives more of a, same thing as on the boulevard, where you keep it away from the sidewalk, so it isn't lifting sidewalks. It's just a variance to give the room for the tree to grow without encroaching into city property or the next door neighbor's property.
Okay, in relationship to the alleys, and how often do we use the alleys?
I use my alley every day.
Well, that's you though, but I mean,
Alleys
overall.
get used a lot.
Alley, in old part of town where you live, there's a lot of access through alleys, and
Yeah.
there are a lot of alleys that they went through and had to chop a bunch of stuff out because they were no longer
Okay.
accessible.
Just asking.
Right.
I don't know.
And the garbage truck goes through alleys too.
Yep, garbage.
That's right, too. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah,
Good point.
That's one of
That's
the
only on your
changes.
side of town.
Well, I don't have alleys over there, so.
I don't have that one.
And then also, if you look in that same sentence, I think it was just a typo error here that was left out. Curb or sidewalk then should be other than, just a correct pronunciation there, so those were the, and then on the last page, under penalty, to strike under conviction, otherwise it's a $50 fine if you violate this. If you leave this thing about under conviction, it means they could go, I suppose, before Lauren, say, why do I have to pay this thing? You know, so we thought, it isn't in any of our other ordinances, you know, so we thought we would just strike that out of there.
Strike what out?
Strike the
Upon conviction.
On conviction. And a lot of that really applies to like the disposal of the dumping of trees and all that
Right.
stuff back here.
Yeah.
So,
So anyway, we was looking through that, that's what we were seeing.
so we need to read this ordinance. Who's elected?
By Chelsea lives here, right?
Change those here too.
I know, this was done before then. Okay.
Take a deep breath.
An ordinance relating to the trees and shrubs within the city of Washburn, North Dakota, be it ordained by the City Commission of the City of Washburn, State of North Dakota. This ordinance shall repeal and replace all other ordinances related to trees of Washburn, North Dakota. Section 1 definitions. Street trees are herein defined as trees, shrubs, bushes, and all other woody vegetation on land lying between property lines on either side of all streets, avenues, or ways within the city. Park trees are herein defined as trees, shrubs, bushes, and all other woody vegetation in public parks having individual names and all areas owned by the city or to which the public has free access as a park. Boulevard tree, street tree, alley tree, trees lying between property lines and the street or avenue. Park trees, trees in public parks, on city-owned area, and in areas to which public has access. Private tree, trees on private property. Right-of-way, the land over which a public road is built. Easement, limited use of land belonging to an individual. Boulevard, the broad, often landscaped area abutting street or road. Alter, to take action by cutting or pruning a tree or by filling, surfacing, gardening, compacting, or changing the draining pattern of the soil around any tree in a manner that threatens to diminish the health of a tree. Section 2, purpose of ordinance.
That's, it's heath of a tree.
Yeah.
Heath of tree.
Yep.
Sorry.
Help.
Diminish the heath of a tree.
I caught that when you did, Tim.
Yeah, we'll put help in there.
Section 2, purpose of ordinance. This ordinance establishes policies, regulations, and standards necessary to ensure that the city of Washburn will continue to realize benefits from its community forest by providing for the regulation of the planting, maintaining, and removing of trees and shrubs within Washburn City. Tree ordinance goals. The purpose of the tree ordinance for the city of Washburn is to promote and protect the health, safety, and welfare of the citizens of Washburn through clearly stated practices regarding our community forest. Establish and maintain maximum tree cover, maintain trees in healthy condition, establish and maintain a variety of species, promote conservation, centralize tree management, foster community support for forest programs and encourage good tree management on private properties, facilitate the resolution of tree-related conflicts between citizens. Section 3, policies. This ordinance sets forth the guidelines for the planting, maintaining, and removal of trees. Approved street, boulevard, alley trees for the city of Washburn. Large trees, oak, fir.
You don't have to say that.
Thank you. Elm hybrids, these are resistant to Dutch elm disease. Prairie expedition, accolade, northern empress, etc.
Forget the parentheses.
Hackberry, Kentucky coffee tree, silver maple. Medium trees, alder, Mantuarian, Amurmachia, ironwood, Holborn meme. Small trees, Japanese tree lilac, Amur chokeberry, flowering cranapple. Planting distances. The spacing of straight boulevard alley trees from other trees will be as follows. Small trees, 20 feet, medium trees, 30 feet, large trees, 40 feet. From the curb and sidewalk, the distance trees may be planted from curbs, property lines, and sidewalks will be in accordance with the 3 tree species size classes listed in Section 3A of this ordinance, and no trees may be planted closer to any curb or sidewalk other than the following. Small trees, 2 feet, medium trees, 3 feet, large trees, 4 feet. From the street corners and fire hydrants, no street, boulevard, alley trees.
Maybe we should back up there, Larry, and we should put property line also in section of this ordinance, and no trees may be planted closer to any curb, property line, or sidewalk.
Oh, or sidewalk instead of and sidewalk?
To any curb or sidewalk?
I'm just saying here where we put property lines up here. No, we're okay, I'm sorry, Chelsea.
Okay.
Yep.
It's okay?
You just want to give you a break.
Okay.
Thank you, I
Take a
appreciate
breath.
that.
I saw it was halfway through, see, so I thought I'd interrupt you.
From the street corners and fire hydrants, no street, boulevard, alley tree shall be planted closer than 20 feet of a street corner measured from the point of the nearest intersection curbs or curb line. No street, boulevard, alley tree shall be planted closer than 10 feet of any fire hydrant. From utilities, no street, there needs to be a dash there. No street, boulevard, alley tree shall be planted under or within 10 lateral feet of any overhead utility wire, or over or within 5 lateral feet of any underground water line, sewer line, transmission line, or other utility. Trimming of trees, shrubs, and bushes. The owner or occupant of any private property within the city of Washburn shall trim all trees, shrubs, or bushes bordering alleys, sidewalks, boulevards, or streets so that the lowest branch of part thereof shall be trimmed to at least 8 feet above any such sidewalk and 15 feet above any such street or alley. Corner clearance and trimming. Every owner of any tree overhanging any street or right-of-way within the city shall prune the branches so that such branches shall not obstruct the light from any street lamp or obstruct the view of any street or right-of-way. Said owner shall remove all dead, diseased, or dangerous trees or broken or decayed limbs which constitute a menace to the safety of the public. The city shall have the right to prune any tree or shrub on private property that interferes with the proper spread of light along the street from a street light or interferes with the visibility of any traffic control devices or sign. Such pruning to be confined to the area immediately above right-of-way. Removal of dead or diseased on private property. The city shall have the right to cause the removal of any dead or deceased trees on private property within the city of Washburn when such trees constitute a hazard to life and property, or harbor insects or disease which constitute a potential threat to other trees within the city. The city shall notify in writing the owners or the residents of property. Removal shall be done by said owner or resident at their own expense within 30 days after the date of notice. In the event of failure of owners or residents to comply with such provisions, the city shall have the authority to remove such trees and charge the cost to property owner's expense and assess it to the property. Removal of stumps. All stumps of street, boulevard, alley, and park trees shall be removed below the surface of the ground so that the top of the stump shall not project above the surface. The city of Washburn prohibits the commercial dumping or disposal of trees and shrubs at the city dump site. Disposal at the site is for residents' personal disposal only. Residential tree shrub disposal is restricted to limbs not to exceed 4 inches in diameter. In case of severe damaging winds or storms, the commercial dumping provision and oversized limbs may be waived at the discretion of City Commission. Section 5, penalty. Anyone who violates the provisions of this ordinance or fails to comply with any of its requirements shall be punished by a fine of $50 for each violation. Section 6, severability. Should any part of provision of this ordinance be declared by a court of contempt jurisdiction to be valid, the same shall not affect the validity of the ordinance or any part thereof other than the part declared to be invalid.
I have a question for you then. Nothing is said here about those other coolies in town. How do they fall under this ordinance then?
About the what?
The coolies with all the trees and bushes and crap in them.
As far as what way? The tree falls down the coulee?
Well, like we have to, every year they have to be burned down or something. The bushes have to be taken care of. How does that fall into this ordinance here? You know what I'm saying?
We don't burn coolies anymore though, do we?
Yeah, we haven't for a long time.
We should, but.
But you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Well, they tried to last year and letters were sent out, but nobody was burning last summer, so.
Right.
I would think that would have something to do, more of a burning ordinance or something, you know, because a lot of the coolies are privately owned. Some are, some aren't, you know.
I know that, but
Well,
I'm
I
just
don't-
bringing it up because
I don't know anybody that plants trees and coolies, I mean, they just.
No, I think they're all volunteer.
They're just, yeah.
Yeah.
I have a question, what about some of these that were planted 30 years ago? If they're grandfathered in, right?
Grandfathered in.
Unless there's a problem, then a person can move them or take care of them.
Yeah.
But I'm sure there's a lot of them that I have way too close somewhere.
Oh,
But
yeah,
that was
yeah.
planted before I even bought the place.
It's a new ordinance, so.
So,
Yeah.
it's one of those, that's why I was wondering if grandfathered in and then we look at it if there's a problem.
Yeah, you take 40% of the trees out of town on the.
Right, exactly, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, no, they're grandfathered.
Okay.
Do you think this needs to be addressed about the coulee stuff?
well, I don't know. It's what we bring it up last year about some of the bushes needed to be trimmed back or whatever, but we didn't burn because of the dry summer, or what? Is it something we address every year or what? Or does it need to go into an ordinance? I don't know. I'm just bringing it up for discussion. I don't know.
I guess I would like to move on with this ordinance, so we can always amend it later if we figure out what we want to do with that.
Okay.
That's my thought anyway.
Yeah, I'm just worried about like what happened a couple of years ago where it plugged up a culvert or something, you know, in a coulee. But I think was that a city coulee, or does somebody own that coulee on the north side of Maine?
No, it's more of a maintenance issue that should be done
Right,
yearly.
Like a dredging thing.
Right, but that's owned by the city, that coulee?
The one where Main Street.
Part of it is,
Yeah.
part of it isn't.
Yeah,
Part of it is, part of it isn't.
right.
Right, because that's.
Some of those people own into the coulee.
Right, right.
So.
So we can amend this later on if we
Right.
have an issue or something, right?
Hmm?
Okay. I just brought it up as a question. I didn't know.
So we need a motion to accept the first reading?
I would so move.
I'll second it.
Quite about it.
Yeah.
Discussion, any more discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. First reading, snow ordinance, ordinance number 158.
Less than half as long.
Thank goodness.
Unless somebody wants to volunteer to read it.
You just did.
I'd miss half of it.
Okay, ordinance 158. An ordinance establishing limitations and the rules for the regulation of dealing with the removal of ice and snow in the city of Washburn. It shall be, this needs to be a period, not a comma. It shall be unlawful to push or blow snow on the city streets or avenues. Residents and businesses are required to pile or blow snow onto their own property. Snow removal contractors are required to pile snow on the property of their customers or haul it away. It shall be unlawful for residents or snow contractors to deposit snow on any private or public property without first receiving permission from the said property owners.
If I may, real quick. Yep. We should add businesses on there after residents, under number 4. Residents, businesses, or snow contractors.
Yep.
And they're double
Instead of
numbered.
or, it should be and, right? Be and or, doesn't matter.
Yeah, there's 2 fours, this needs to go to
4A.
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Says 3 or 4 feet
Okay.
on this tree ordinance.
So number 5, any damage caused by contractors
Well,
clearing
she
snow
just
is their
said that.
responsibility to repair. 6, mailboxes are allowed to be placed on the city boulevards for convenience. The city is not responsible for any damages to mailboxes due to snow plowing. Per USPS, in high snow areas, the front of a mailbox should be 6 inches behind the curb. The city is not responsible for any damages to sprinklers, fences, etc. that are on the city right-of-ways caused by snow plowing. 8, parking on city streets and public ways during snowfall is addressed in ordinance 155. 9, the city of Washburn Public Works will address snow removal on city streets, avenues, alleys, and public areas as soon as conditions allow. Snow emergency routes will be first, followed by the hills, and then residential routes in no particular order. Icy streets and intersections will be sanded as needed. 10, snow emergency routes for the city of Washburn are Main Avenue, 4th Avenue, 7th Street, Rough Rider Road, Custer Drive, North Gate Road, Border Lane, Torrena Road. 11, the city of Washburn will use the snow gate whenever possible. Heavy and deep snowfall will interfere with the effectiveness of the snow gate. It may be necessary to remove the snow gate because of excess snow or breakdown. Owners and occupants of properties that have a sidewalk shall clear the sidewalk of snow and ice after every snowfall. Violators may be cited into municipal court, or the city of Washburn may clear the sidewalk at the property's owner expense and assess it to the property. 13, any person or contractor who is convicted of violating the provisions of this ordinance or of failing to comply with any of the provisions of this ordinance may be punished by a fine of $50 for each violation. 14, this ordinance shall take effect on final passage and shall repeal and replace all other ordinances related to snow removal.
Okay, it says, here it says maybe, on our last ordinance, we got shall be punished by a fine. I wonder if we shouldn't put shall be punished by a fine, not maybe.
Okay.
Everybody agree with that?
Where are you at on that, Larry?
13.
13.
14.
Take away maybe and
After
put in
ordinance.
shall be.
I thought you had to renumber them.
I did, it's 13.
Oh, is it? No. Oh, that one, okay. Oh, there, never mind.
That's the wrong way.
I guess kind of the 12, which should be.
Now, I have a question. We have some people running around town pushing up snow out of people's mailboxes in yards or around curbs or around fire hydrants. Do we need anything in here for that?
I thought that was addressed in here.
Well, I would just want to make sure, because,
Well, it
there are
says-
individuals going around and pushing out fire hydrants and putting piles on the edges of streets and stuff.
This is where it goes shall, right?
That's why I was wondering if that was
Well,
addressed.
I mean, the snow has to go somewhere, you know, I mean, that's kind of like saying, here's my driveway, the snow is there, can I just shovel it onto the boulevard next to my driveway?
Well, what I'm saying is,
I'm
people
not sure.
coming around, driving up and down the street and pushing snow in piles, in places.
Well, then they'll have to be,
Yeah.
fined.
But I mean, that should be the city, or the people that live there that take care of the hydrant do that.
Well, it should
not
be.
just people just running up and down the street doing stuff all
Well,
the
people do stuff to help out, I get it, but if we find people making a mess, then we have to let them know that, hey, you know, we might not find them the first time, but we say, hey, you know, if you keep doing this, you'll be fine. I don't know.
One question on the residents, number 2, residents and businesses are required to pile or blow snow onto their own property.
Yep.
How do you do that downtown? On the sidewalk, you know, if they're moving snow?
The city clears the sidewalks downtown.
Yeah,
because
any
it's-
side street, they would be responsible for, you know, they need to take care of actual downtown Main Street, is that what you're talking about?
Well, that's what I'm
Well, the
just
city
saying, because
takes care of
you
that.
got businesses, well, if I'm looking at this ordinance, yeah, I'm just using, example, I don't know, the bank, that's a business, they better not be pushing it out on the street.
Right.
As I read this.
Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah.
They haul theirs away.
Cleaning
Okay,
the
maybe the bank.
and pushing it across to the museum.
I know.
Okay, or,
That's an
That
example.
happens to you?
It's
Right.
the
Anyway,
museum.
but, well, that's what I'm getting at, you know, all these businesses along Main Street, it's a private business,
Yep.
so where do they put it? They push it out in the street, it's the only place they got to get rid of it,
Well,
right?
go ahead, the sidewalk,
The
but
sidewalk.
the parking lots, they're responsible to either pile it in their parking lot or haul it away.
Right, right.
Yeah.
But I guess I was looking at that sidewalk portion,
Yeah.
that where they put, I mean, the only place they got to put it is out in the street.
And most of the time, the city, Adam, they're going by and they blow it onto the street, and then Adam comes by with a maintainer and he pulls it to the
Yeah.
middle.
I'm just
the
saying,
sidewalk.
do we need to specify that in here?
Well, I see your
Just,
point.
I don't know if it's a big deal, but
Yeah.
if somebody were to question it, you know, while you're telling me I can't, you know, put my snow out in the street, but yet, I look at the ordinance, these guys can.
Kind of what this is about is kind of like, you know, the credit union up there and the clinics, you know, they used to push it across border lane
No, I get that.
and pile it right on the, other side of the street and it could cause no problem. You know, that's kind of what this deals with. You know, granted, it's a little different than downtown here, you know.
But that was a contractor doing that.
Right,
Yeah.
but then as far as like Weber here, you know, he's not allowed to, and Tim, they're not allowed to push their snow onto the street. They have to take care of it because it's their lots.
Yeah.
You know, like it would be like the post office, the side street going down, toward the river, toward the elevator, you know, they're responsible for that side street. And they got to push that around and either hold it away or put it on their property, not have somebody pile it by the swimming pool or by the park, which is what happens all the time. And then they would be fined for that.
Or like chase drug on the side.
Exactly, same thing.
Those things too.
Yeah.
So why does it make any difference that, we don't pile it by the swimming pool in the park? Because it's not used during the summertime or during the winter time anyways.
Well, I see this year their fence has been damaged. You know, the park fence has been damaged because people are piling snow up there. I don't know who did it, but, so that has to be fixed. It's not their property.
Right. It's like mine, I'm fortunate that I have enough lot to where I can just pile it.
Yeah.
But I know that filled up one time, so I had Chris Trespic come in that one big winter, and he hired him to shove it back up on top of the hill. But, you know, I just kept it on mine.
And the other thing is, when they do pile their lot, they like to go right up to the street, really close, instead of staying back a little bit.
Right.
So I don't know if we need to put something like that in there, that it has to stay off the city's, right of way.
Okay, but you also see here, you know, it is to be allowed for residents to pile snow on any private or public property without first receiving permission. They get permission, they can do it.
Yeah, and there's some
So-
discretion that's gonna have to be done, whether we get 20 inches of snow or 120 inches
Right.
of snow in the winter.
Yeah.
You know,
Snow's gotta go someplace.
Yeah, right, and then you start working with what you've got, so.
There is a, exception to every rule.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, we've gotta have some kind of a guideline and then work off of that guideline.
And we can vary off the guideline too then.
That's called working with it, yep.
We haven't motion on this yet.
No.
I'll make a motion that we accept it.
First reading?
First reading.
I'll second it.
Any other discussion? Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
You don't have to read this one, Joe.
I'm not reading this one.
You're not reading this one?
No.
The one word? Okay. Updated liquor ordinance change. So,
The date that the check gets cashed.
we are changing page 9, number 3, under section, what is it? 6? Number 6, section 3. We're changing February to January. It basically says, license fee shall be held by the city not deposited until January 1st will be the new, reading. It used to say February 1st. So basically, we're changing one word.
So does this just take one, we have to have two for next month too, okay.
So I'll move to accept that change.
I'll second that, Chelsea.
And she doesn't have to read it?
I just read it. Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes. Living local app.
I sent the demo out to all of you. I also sent it out to a couple people on Washburn Life. I did the demo. It's a free app for 2 years. It can provide as much or as little information as you want on this app, but it could work as a centralized app for the city of Washburn, the schools, the churches, anything that we want to do. It can have up to 5 admins. It's right now being funded through CARES Act money, so it is free for the first 2 years, and then after that, if we would want to continue with it, it is $750 per year. In order to lock in the first free 2 years, this contract does have to be signed by April 1st. If it's something that the city would want to go forward with, there's a lot of cities that have not gone forward with it. There's a few that have. The school calendar I already looked at is a Google Doc calendar, so that would be easy just to pull into this app. You can pinpoint it to what you want to get alerts. The only thing I thought that would be super helpful for the city is to send out a push notification, say if there was a water line break, that water has to be turned off for just this section or just this section, where they would get that alert if they have the app, if they use it.
And that app would only be accessible to the cell phone then?
Yes.
So.
Or an iPad or something.
Or an iPad.
Yeah.
But it would have to be.
But you can get it through like iPhone or Samsung, however it goes to that. But yes, it would have to be downloaded. It's an app. It is not a website.
I have a question. How many of the commissioners actually watched the video, the demo? I did.
I watched it.
I watched the whole thing.
Didn't it? Okay. I'm just curious to see if everybody, watched and knows what this is about, so, okay. I mean, what does Washburn Life say about that?
We are waiting to see which the commission decides.
Oh, we want to know what you guys think.
I think they thought it was all a good idea.
Come on up.
Come on up and talk to us
Come on
at the front table.
Because we thought if you
Come on.
guys really liked it, you could pay for it. So, yeah.
Well, and I mean, from my understanding, what I got out of it is we can cancel it after 2 years. And I think we can track it. They have a thing to see who's actually utilizing it, and, I mean, if it's not being used, it's not something that I would probably spend the money on going
Right.
forward, but if it's free, then what does it hurt to try it out? And they have 2 installers that come in, and they do a lot of the groundwork and set it up, and then they'll come and teeter it to what we want and what we want to see, and then we can help give them information.
How much input do you have to put into it?
Some, but a lot of, there's 2 installers that do a lot of the background work.
But, I mean, to update it constantly, how much do we have to provide with city help to put it in, is what I'm asking.
Anything that comes up, I suppose, but it can, just be linked. I'd look at setting up a Google Calendar, because right now,
Kind of be the same as keep an update on the Washburn Life website, that often you have to input whatever's going on at Memorial Hall or basketball games.
Once that can be just done on the website, and then it
Yeah.
just links, and it flows to the app, as long as it's set up on a Google Calendar.
I would think it would depend on how much actually stuff you plan on putting on there. You know,
Yeah.
how detailed you want to get.
You know, like saying with the, say the park board, like if because of the rain, that T-ball or something's going to be canceled, parents are more apt to look at an app, I think, than having to go on Facebook and see if something's been posted.
Well, I was thinking like all school reunion or something like that, get it up and running so that people could have this app or notifications when stuff is going on in certain places that they forget about. But it's how much time you put into the app is how much you're gonna get out of it. If you don't put nothing in, nothing's gonna come out.
And it's gonna take a while to get this set up. It's not gonna happen overnight.
So did you say you have to sign up for it by April 1st?
Yeah, the contract has to be signed by April 1st in order to receive this 2 years free.
So then if you use it for 2 years and find out that, I don't think so, are you bound for the third year for $750?
Not from my understanding, but once, I told her we met today, she was gonna call tomorrow, once I see that contract to make sure that there's nothing binding, then, I mean, I don't know what it would hurt, I guess, to try, if it's free.
Right.
If it's not being used and we can see that, then I definitely wanna pay for it after 2 years, and if
Right.
it's something that we do use and we get out there and we get feedback from the community, what they like and what they don't like, and if they're using it, then, I mean, I don't think it would be
So does each
bad.
individual iPad or cell phone, do we individually load that app into our cell phone?
Yes, it would just be like going out to your app store, downloading an app that you have on your phone.
And it's a free app, right?
Yes.
You
So-
can actually download it right now if you want it.
Yes, you can.
It
'Cause-
links to Henninger right now.
Yep.
But if you wanted an example, you could download it.
So how much, you have to have a relatively new cell phone in order to download this stuff? Because my cell phone is like 10 years old. And could I download it into an old system, or do you have to have
It
a
might have to
relatively
be a
new
newer.
system?
Buy a new one,
I'm not spending $2,000.
$2,000?
Don't you have an
I don't know what their background specifications are for
The
it being.
iOS part,
Yeah.
I know with the 6, so the apps I cannot download.
Right.
It works with the rotary dial, don't worry about it.
Okay, I have a question. What does Washburn Lights think of it?
They seem to like it.
Yeah.
Call someone, who cares?
So do they think it would be more something they would want to do, or the city should do it, or what's the thought with them?
And I think we figured it would, benefit the city with their,
Yeah.
that, but, yeah, with Washburn Lights getting out, for park boards or whatever, because it's, for like the school, saying that if the grandma wanted to have the notification, she could do it, saying, okay, my grandson plays this game, and it'll have a notification saying, oh, he plays in 2 hours, I better get on the road, or that.
Yeah,
But you
because
could do different,
after I watched it, I called Erica to see what she thought of it, and she thought it was really a good idea, that this would be a good app for us to use.
I guess one of the questions I have would be, let's say, like you said, let's say a water main break, we have to shut down part of the town. If you go to that app, will that automatically pop up?
it should be like a notification.
Or do you have to go?
Well, if you have
To a
your
certain
push
section.
notifications on, like when you download an app and it will ask you, do you want push notifications?
Hmm.
And you say yes, then anytime there's an alert, like that
Oh,
pops
I
up,
see. Okay.
then if I know that, then I would go update that, I'd push it out, then anybody who has those turned on. If you don't have those turned on, then not
Right.
necessarily, no, you may have to go into the app.
But if
to
it's
look.
turned on, it would just.
But if it's turned on, then yeah, it's gonna
Perfect.
ding and you're gonna be like, oh,
Okay.
the water's being turned off on Fourth Avenue.
So would that pertain to, say, like, weather warnings would be able to come in on this as well?
They would.
Say, like,
Yeah,
that year that we
she
got
said
the
that.
real bad wind that time?
As long as it's sanctioned through there, but still same with that wind warning, that came from the U.S. weather. Like, that's not gonna come from me saying, oh my gosh, it's so windy.
No, I
that's
mean,
gonna come from
something coming into
the
that.
weather service.
Yeah.
And that would come over that, I'm sure.
Yes, because the weather's linked to that.
Now, will this pick out, let's say somebody lives on a certain boulevard, it's just those people would get the push notification?
I don't
Or is
think
it
so.
everybody?
It's just gonna be everybody,
Okay.
because I don't
I'm-
think you can break it down
You just
that
gotta
much.
figure out what it pertains to.
Right, it's one of, I didn't know if it would be like the reverse 911 where you have a certain deal that
Yep.
it picks
Okay.
those apps.
I-
Okay.
Okay, I think we pretty much got the questions asked, let's move on, so, I think we should do it, or at least check into it, I mean, if we don't like it, we just quit.
Yep.
So you could ask her tomorrow that, say, okay, after a year, if we don't like it, can we cancel, or do we have to be pulled into that 2-year?
That's one of the things I'm checking on the contract to make sure it states that it's, we want out, we're out. That's what I got out of it when she said it, but I mean, obviously I will make sure that's what the
Well,
contract.
obviously, if you're not using it.
Then we're backing out.
Yeah, we can.
It's like a head count in the back, like some websites say, at the bottom saying so many people have visited it that, so.
Would the
How many-
sheriff's department or anybody like that use it, or
We could.
the ambulance service or something, or?
I would think there's a lot of different,
There can just only be 5 admins.
You're looking for a motion to approve it?
I'm looking for a motion.
We could move to approve it.
Yes.
Under the stipulation that we have the option to back out after the free trial period.
That's your motion.
That's it.
Second.
Further discussion? No, Colin?
What happens to if we back out of it, all that information that's out there? That's where I have an issue with all these damn apps and social media crap. It's out there and it's not going away.
Well, the app would no longer be functioning.
Yeah,
Would they
but my point
wash
is,
them off that there isn't-
somebody's got that information. Where's it out there?
But I think a
And
lot
what
of that
information
is
out there.
if people want to put their crap on there, then
Right.
they're allowed to do that. It's not, the city's not going to be putting, everything under the sun on there. We're going to see them, we're doing certain things. It's like Facebook. People put all their stuff on there. If that's what they want to do, that's what they do.
Right.
So, right? That's what I would think.
Yeah.
I don't know, from what I seen, I didn't have a good vibe about that whole demo, so,
All right,
I'm
let's
gonna
go.
go no.
Colin?
No.
Yes.
Aye. Yes.
Yes. Okay. Thank you, Rhonda. Highway plantings,
Okay, real quickly, the forestry board is looking to, see whether they can cut back on, I think they got 19 planters. I have no idea where they're all at, but I'm gonna ride around with them and look at them, see if we can possibly eliminate some and coordinate, maintenance with the city workers. It's just in the discussion stages, they have trouble getting funding for enough, money to help pay for taking care of them. Volunteers an issue, and so we're just in the early exploration stages of seeing whether they can turn over the priority ones and see whether the city could pick up the maintenance option of them. So it's just in the very preliminary, and I'll have more next month when we.
Are they expensive to take care of?
Well, I'll have more on that next month. It's just the very,
Okay.
very
Right.
preliminary stages, so.
perfect. Okay. New public works employee. I think we need to advertise for another employee. So I'll make a motion that we advertise for a public works employee.
I make a motion, we
I already
hire a
did.
new one.
I already did.
Oh, I'll second it.
Are we using the same, as last time?
It'd probably be a little different. We're probably not gonna
Okay.
concentrate as much on water,
Okay.
because, basically Zach was water and public works. This would be mostly public works and be a little bit of water.
Are we going to raise the minimum amount from, say, up to, I think, what did we have in the last one for minimum starting pay? Remember, Chelsea?
In there right now, it states as 21.
Yeah, can we bump it up to 23 or something like that?
Well, it's up for discussion, I guess. So,
I'd like
We'll
to
put a
ask
range,
you.
we'll put a range in there. I mean,
Depends on experience, let's,
a lot of it's
start out
experience, yeah.
20 to, and up, depends on experience.
Okay. Fine. So, there was a second, Colin?
Yes.
Yes.
Aye.
Yes.
Yes.
How long do you want that advertised for?
Long enough to get a guy hired.
Until someone's hired?
6 weeks? What did we advertise last time? I would say a month.
Start with a month, yeah.
Yeah.
Start with a month.
See what comes in.
And then we use the same places we advertised before.
Okay.
Okay, summer help, tarring help. So do we want to hire a summer person? And, well, tarring help, we might not be getting a lot of tar this year, so we're not sure what's gonna happen there. There's a tar shortage everywhere. But we should have at least one barrel. Do we have that yet? One?
They brought it up there and then their burner went on the fritz, so we have nothing right now.
So they're not using it either then?
At the moment, no.
Okay. But we will have at least one.
Yeah, at least
Tar and
one.
feather.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Good tar, we're gonna get feathers.
so I would like to, tarring help, it might be a week or two possibly. I think we probably need like 3 people. That way we can blow the cracks and put tar right behind it so we don't fall so far behind.
You're talking about 3 additional people, or?
3 additional.
Okay. And they would be hired for?
Just 1 or 2 weeks, just,
Okay, I see what you're saying.
whoever. And I would say, what did we pay, like, say, hire those at like $16 an
I
hour?
think it was 16.
Huh?
I think it was 16.
Yeah, 16, and then do we want to advertise for like a summer person for like mowing, stuff like that? Or if we get another employee, is that enough?
Well, I'd like to have a summer help because we don't know what we're gonna get for an employee.
And how long?
Well, we can advertise for a summer
Right.
employee, and then we'll kind of take it from there.
Right.
Okay.
Because maybe we get a summer employee that has good qualifications
Right.
that
So, okay.
may be interested.
So we will, I think like the tarring help, I mean, I think we can probably talk to enough people to come up with that. I'll do it. Yeah, I said I'd do it.
$5 an hour.
Chelsea wants to do it too?
I'm sure Gary Kinsley would do it.
How about Rhonda?
You can drive the truck.
Chelsea's doing it for days.
Serious. We need drivers, so.
Oh,
I'll think about it.
You know, if you go fast enough, that car spreads everywhere.
Bet Erica would do it.
There's a shortage, so it kind of would work correct.
Yeah, we'll be done right away.
So anyway, the tarring help will be word of mouth, and then the summer we'll advertise.
Okay, sounds good.
But we still wanna go through with hiring another person though.
Yep, that's.
Oh, absolutely, we did that
Do
already.
you need a motion for summer help or not?
Yeah,
Okay.
Do you have a starting wage for summer help?
what's our starting wage for summer help?
$16? Or is that?
Yeah, what's it?
Thought it was.
What did you do last year?
We moved him up. Oh, was it 16? Or was he? Yeah, I know he was 16.
The problem is, inflation is killing everybody
Yeah.
because they got gas and everything else, so I would
Yeah.
say 16.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the tarring help was also 16. Okay. Are we ready? Eric? Eric. Finally!
Do we get over?
Do we need to motion that?
Yeah, I thought that you're trying to make a motion.
Yeah, do we need to motion that, Larry?
Oh, we got a motion, yeah.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Second?
Yeah, I'll move. I'll move to hire
You
the
moved.
summer help.
I'll second.
Yep. Colin?
Aye.
Yes.
Aye. Yes.
Yes.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah, no problem.
Sorry about that.
Chelsea taught it.
It's gonna be a long meeting. We're not used to it.
So I'll try to be brief. I know I got a little bit longer list, but,
Talk as long as you want.
You have 2 minutes.
All right, so just giving you guys an update here on what we're working on. So the intake project, we submitted the FEMA grant increase request last month and still waiting on them to get back to us. The State Water Commission grant for the intake, we had to submit an extension request and an update report. And Larry and Chelsea got that submitted on the 23rd of February. As part of that, so we got this, just to back up a little bit, we got the intake grant from State Water Commission back in 2013. That's when we first applied for it. I think the contract was signed like in 2015, so every 4 years, the State Water Commission requires an update, an extension request, basically, hey, you had this money for 4 years, it's been allocated to you, where are you at with your project?
Correct.
So we did, the last update was in 2018 that Larry did, so they need us to do that again. So that along with the extension. Colin and Adam, are you guys gonna be on the phone call?
Should be able to make it.
So,
That's on,
that's March 17th.
that's the Thursday, that's this Thursday.
It's a pre-commission meeting, the State Water Commission pre-commission meeting. I'm just gonna warn you guys that those meetings run all day. So it's scheduled for, their agenda is 200 pages long, okay? So, what I'm getting at is, it could be a long time on the call. So maybe what we do, because we have a lot of, at A2S, we have a lot of people that have vested interest on those agenda items, because there's so many of them. We have somebody that's gonna be listening to the whole meeting, and I might not even be on the call the whole meeting, and I'm just gonna have her let me know, like, hey, when we're getting close to our item, let me know. And we have a number of people in our office that have different things on the agenda throughout the day, that they'll let us know, like, hey, you're 2 items away on your agenda for your item. So if you guys want, because I can't imagine you got time to sit around from 9:30 to 5.
She did say by the end of Tuesday, they should have an idea of when this specific one will be talked about. From the email that I got from her, it sounded like that they would, but whether, I don't know, do things run long, do they not? Like, it could be scheduled for 2:40, it may not be till 3:40.
Yeah.
But I thought she said she'd send out an agenda too, so, but
Yeah,
that would be helpful.
She did send out a link to the agenda and how you join the call. There's call-in information, and I think they do Microsoft Teams, or you can just dial the number to call in. But either way, I mean, the meeting starts at 9:30 and could go as late as 5 o'clock. And from I've only been to a couple of State Water Commission meetings, but typically they don't jump around on the agenda. And right now, our 4-year progress report's like almost dead last on the agenda, so I just don't want you guys to have to sit on the phone all day, you know? And I don't want to either, because we all got stuff to do, right? So, so that's what I would do. I would recommend maybe I could just let you guys know, like, hey, we're getting close, and dial in now, or dial in the next 10 minutes, and then you'll, but I don't know, did you guys get I can forward you the email, or maybe Chelsea, you can forward it to them.
Yeah,
And
I can.
She has a link on there to see the agenda. It's all on there, but all I have to say is, they want a city representative, so Colin and Larry, or Colin and Adam, and then I will be on the call as well, in case they have questions on our extension request, basically. And the pre-commission meeting always is followed by the actual full commission meeting, which is every other month. That'll be in April, and that's when they'll actually have the full commission together to make votes, take actions on all these items. So the pre-commission meeting just kind of is more of a data gathering and question and answer, so they can set themselves up to make decisions.
So what's gonna be brought up at this meeting that affects the city?
Well, yeah, it'll be brought up, and they'll ask questions if they have them, but they're not gonna decide anything until the April meeting, which
Okay.
I plan on attending that. And then, I have on there, Larry right now is penciled in to do that, and that's April 12th. So, all this stuff to say is I don't think this should be any issue. I think they're going to grant the extension, and we're gonna show them the progress we've made, and that the city has purchased land. And they know the deal, because the State Water Commission is providing a lot of funding for the Blue Flint ethanol project in McLean, Sheridan, and the city, and Blue Flint, all the work we're doing to provide water to them. So they all know what's going on, but we still need to walk through these steps, so.
How much money is involved in that, that they have put aside for us? How much is that?
There's a lot. I mean, as far as the city's money, you know, we have a grant for $2.3 million. The city does for the intake.
So that's what they're gonna be extending the...
They would extend the city's grant for $2.3 million, yeah, to the foreseeable future. We plan on being able to spend it all. Hopefully, we can spend it all by the fall of 2023. That's what
I thought you said that back last year that there was more money than that in there, like $5 or $6 million.
Well, the total project cost is more than $2.3 million. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the actual meeting starts at 9:30, is?
9:30 a.m.
That's when the actual meeting starts.
That's when the
we
meeting-
are, okay.
The meeting starts at 9:30, but their agenda,
Yeah.
they have so many things on it. And again, you never know how long a meeting's gonna take. I mean, as you guys have done plenty of meetings, you know how that goes. So, but the agenda says 9:30 to 5. And, and the guys in the office that have attended more of these than me
Right.
have said that, yes, sometimes they go till 5 o'clock.
Okay.
And they go like straight through, like a marathon. I hope they have snacks, I guess. But, I mean, I don't know. Luckily, they do one a month, but that's still kind of a lot. So anyway, all that to give you an update on the State Water Commission grant that we have for the intake. So, any other questions on that? Right now, we're working on updating our final plans and our permits. I've brought the permit applications for our permits that we've actually, they're the Corps, U.S. Army Corps of Engineer permits that we actually applied for in 2019. We're going to be having Larry sign them tonight, and we'll re-send those permits in, and basically we're getting permission from the Corps to do construction in the river and do riverbank stabilization along the river where the intake site's going to be. That's the point of the permits. So I have those two, and I'll give those to you when the meeting's done to sign those, Larry.
Yep.
We did a 90% design review meeting for the Bluefin ethanol project. It was for the pipelines and for the ground storage reservoir. Larry and Colin attended that at Blue Flint. So it wasn't Adam. It wasn't projects for the city, but I guess what I'm getting at is expect a 90% design review meeting, kind of like that one, for the intake, beginning of April. So I would suggest, and I'm going to ask you guys that for the location of that, would you guys be okay if we did a 90% design review meeting at Blue Flint like we did the other one, or would you want to be here, or how would you want to do it? Because if we want Blue Flint to be able to attend, and that was a good setup in there, we don't have the technology in here that they do.
It was a very good setup there. I mean, I would be fine with that.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah.
So in our next meeting with Adam Dunlop from Blue Flint, we'll say, hey, we would like to do this 90% design review meeting in April, and if we could use your, and so.
But can we get that so the rest of us can see this?
Yeah, you guys all can attend too. Yeah.
Yeah, because I'd like.
We can't all attend.
Can't all attend.
Okay.
But I'd like to be able to, some of these other ones, go in through a TV and watch the meeting. Because otherwise, we're out of the loop,
You still can't do it if you're coming in on the TV, that's still a meeting.
No, I mean
afterwards.
Are any of them recorded?
It's recorded, and I don't know that they recorded the meetings. I can give you guys all the agenda, and I can give you an update after the meeting, or you guys can decide who wants to go to it, but yeah, that's kind of tough there on how to do that. Maybe what we do is we have two meetings, because we could have, because it would be good to give everyone in the commission an update on that, but at the same time, we need to have Blue Flint updated on the 90% plans, because they're paying for a large portion of the project.
I'd like to be able to view it after you guys, the meeting's over, so we can go in and actually view it. So we can see what you guys talked about, so we're not in the dark.
We can probably record it ourselves rather easily, I would guess.
Well, they should be able to record that too. I know we've done different things where the presenter will just hit record and it'll record the whole presentation.
We've done that on Microsoft Teams where we recorded it, but I guess that would just be the admin or whoever set up the meeting. Right. Whoever's in charge of whoever set it up would have to probably would have to make that, initiate that recording, I guess. So I'll ask that, and I'll.
Because I think Adam had set that up, wasn't it? Was the last one?
Either Adam set it up or we did. I'm not sure. But we set it up as a Microsoft Teams meeting. It might have been us that set it up, actually. And I'm fairly certain that meeting was not recorded. I joined the meeting late because I had another appointment, but I know that we've done recorded meetings before, so I don't see how that shouldn't be an issue. Right. So
that way we can just share it with us, so we can go in and actually watch what you guys talked about, so we're at least on board with it.
Sure. Yeah, I will definitely look into that.
Word of mouth isn't always down to the exact.
Do you know when in April that will be?
I don't know that yet. I'm targeting the first week or two of April, so the first half of April at some time.
Because it might be, because if it's before April 11th, which is our meeting, we could have an update on it too.
Yeah.
If it's before then.
Yeah.
So.
That would be good. Okay. I will say, I'll make a note here to make it before, if I can, before 4/11. Because basically we're targeting, what I'm trying to target is that June State Water Commission meeting, because we're gonna have to request construction funding
Yep.
for the June State Water Commission meeting. So we have to have certain things done by a certain date, so that we can get on the agenda, so that they can, you know, look at it and say, yep, we'll approve you guys for your construction funding, because,
Absolutely.
we'll see how that goes, but that's kind of that's the goal where we're at on that.
Okay.
So I'll move on if no one has questions on the intake project.
Okay.
So the water plant project, the geotechnical fieldwork has been completed. It's been for a couple of weeks now. We're expecting the final report. We've got a preliminary report, but we're expecting the final report in the next couple weeks on the geotechnical work that we did out in front of the water plant. We are still very preliminary on the water plant. That one's going to be the last project to be followed through on for that project, just because there's a lot more that goes into designing a water plant than like a pipeline. So working on that still. Then there was an update we had at the last meeting too on the temporary water service. So the city will be providing a temporary clarified water service to Blue Flint, because they need water by October 1st. So
This year?
Of this year, yep. So our plan is to have the storage reservoir at Blue Flint and the pipeline from Washburn to Blue Flint completed, but before then. So we'll have the pipeline and storage on site, but we will not be able to have the ability to, we won't have a water plant built by then. So we're gonna be tapping off of the city's existing water plant, and then we'll be setting up some temporary water storage tanks and a temporary pump house outside of the city water plant to pump that water to Blue Flint.
Okay.
So that's the plan right now. We have a preliminary drawings, and I met with Adam at the water plant to go over kind of what we want to do and how we're going to accomplish it. But we're still in the works on that, and in discussing with Larry too, that the city definitely wants AE2S involved in the bidding and the construction of that temporary work. So
Rather than Blue Flint.
rather than us handing a plan to Blue
USA,
Flint
yeah.
and having them just do it, because it's the city's infrastructure that they'll be making modifications to get that temporary water. So that'll be a message that will be communicated to Blue Flint, that that's what the city's wishes and intentions are. So we'll make sure that we follow through with that.
So that temporary water use by October 1st?
Yep.
That line will be in before then?
That's the plan.
And would I try to use our water intake if it's still in water?
We will be using the city's existing water plant and existing intake.
If it's not out of the water from the low.
Well, that's the thing, is in October, you know.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Hopefully we have some actual moisture this year, and we don't have issues with super low releases at the dam in October. But that was one, I brought that point up right away when they said that they wanted water at that point in time. I said, you know, that's when the city sometimes has problems with the intake, because
Right.
October, November are very low flow.
Because that's
releases
going to
from
be
the dam.
every month after that, that's going to be until the new intake. Because they're going
Right,
to
well-
use the same water amount all winter long. Or,
Yeah,
you
if
know.
everything works out perfect. Okay, and this is what I should say, the temporary water, they're only scheduling to use it for a 30-day period, so that they can commission their new equipment up there. So, so Blue Flint Ethanol has to treat their water to a pretty high standard for their processes that they run at their facility. So they need the water to commission that new equipment. That's the purpose. That's the whole purpose behind it. And that's why they can't wait until next spring, because they got to get this 30 days of water.
So we're just doing clarified water, right?
Just clarified water, because they treat it to a different level than what we would treat it here in Washburn. So they run.
Is that gonna be a metal pipe then going in, or a?
Well,
plastic
it's gonna
pipe?
be a poly pipe, HDPE pipe. Yep. And it's gonna be, the plan is for a 16-inch pipe leaving Washburn, and then once we get out of town, it'll turn to a 12-inch pipe for the rest of the 10 miles, 10 miles up to
And
Blue
two
Flint.
isolations, one here and one there?
Well, there'll be a water, we'll meter the water I mean, not to get into too many details, but we would meter the water here at Washburn, and they would, most likely, they'd meter the water up there.
Right.
And then we would keep track of all that. And, we are updating the cost of service analysis for clarified water, and Chelsea's been working really hard to give Miranda the information she needs, Miranda A2S the information that she needs to, make sure that we're establishing a rate that's gonna cover the
This
city's
is a
costs.
pretty aggressive schedule to be ready by October first.
It's an aggressive schedule, yep, and we've discussed that many times, a lot, not with you, but, amongst our project team. You know, it would have been a lot easier to be able to, if we would have started a little earlier on this, than when they made the decision, but can't change that now, so we're just doing the best we can with the time that we have. But anyway, so that's kind of a big update there on things, and if you guys have any questions at any time about the Bluefield Ethanol projects, you're involved, let me know.
Mike, you had a question about power.
Yeah, I think the guy's gone over there at Rough Rider that you guys might have talked to, because I talked to Lori and Bruce, and they haven't done a study on the power there.
Power on?
Across the river.
Across the river,
Okay.
because they have a lot of the irrigation on that line. They have a 500 horse, a 200 horse, a 100 horse.
Yeah.
ADM has 375, and there's like 3 or 4 other irrigation deals. So they're wondering how much power with this new system you're gonna need over there.
Yep. So our electrical group has been in communication with Rough Rider Electric on that.
Who over there?
You know, I don't know his name, but my guy's name's Nick Ackerman, and he's been in touch with whoever the guy is at, if it's Bruce or whoever it is at Rough Rider, and Nick has assured me that the guy at Rough Rider said that we have plenty of power for what we need.
At the substation or at the lines?
At the 3-phase power that exists at the intake site.
At the river.
At the river.
Okay, because that's what they haven't seen a study yet, is what I've been told.
Who hasn't seen a study?
Rough Rider in Hazen, their main deal. They haven't seen a study or asked for a study for how much power you need.
Okay,
That's why I was asking. And this is from the guys that are the linemen and the people that are at the building over there.
That's surprising that they would say that, because I know that Nick's talked to them about this.
Yeah, but
and Larry actually asked me to double check on it again, and I know I did that this year, and they said that we would have plenty of power for what we need, and we outlined that we're gonna have 2 50 horsepower pumps. We're gonna have a street light. We're gonna have lighting in the pump house.
Right.
You know, but really the pumps, that's the main thing. I mean, everything else is ancillary at that point.
Well, what they have trouble, they're multi-phased, Anyway, there's a frequency deal that ADM has trouble with, that they drop out their motors when things kick in over there, because they're within a couple thousandths of each other.
Well,
So
maybe
they have
Eric, that's something you can
So
check into.
that's what I was wondering.
Technical stuff.
Yeah, that's pretty technical. Let's just check into it.
Just to make sure, and so I know who that is they talk to, so that they're prepared.
Okay, I will double check on that again and see if there's any concerns.
Yeah, because when you kick on all those pumps.
Right.
Is it going to kick out somebody else's pump?
Yeah, and I don't think
We'll
it's
get it
gonna
figured
be-
out.
Yeah,
We'll get it figured
we'll
out.
double check, so.
I got one quick question there.
Sure.
Nothing to do with, I mean, this isn't our expertise to tell you how to build it, so, but, we signed a memorandum of, an agreement. So is there another agreement that we signed?
So that's a great question. So I mentioned earlier that Chelsea's been working with Miranda to make sure that we have your guys' rate established, that will cover your costs and your overhead and all that. So there will be a water use agreement between Bluefield Ethanol and McLean Sheridan, and between McLean Sheridan and the city, that needs to be established.
Okay.
And in that service agreement, it will cover that before the city enters into anything, any kind of contract to build anything, to do any construction,
Right.
that Bluefield Ethanol will will cover all those costs that the city will have to, take on to build this infrastructure. But that would be the agreement that we absolutely need signed before you guys can hire any contractor to enter into any kind of a contract to do any construction work.
Okay.
So.
And then one other quick question on that too then. Like, we paid for the land up front here, which was reimbursed.
It was reimbursed.
Is that gonna be a pattern, or are we out of the phase of paying for stuff and then getting reimbursed, paying for stuff and getting reimbursed?
No, you're not off the hook. So there's certain things that we're gonna have to do, and I was gonna actually pull Chelsea aside after the meeting and talk to her more about it, but.
And we don't need to go into it now, just a general.
Yes, so, and the intake project is gonna be something that the city has more direct action on.
Okay.
And there'll be some paperwork shuffling that needs to happen, administrative stuff that needs to happen but at the end of the day, between the grants and the support of Bluefield Ethanol, the city shouldn't have to pay for anything.
Okay.
That's what I would wanna, that's the main message I wanna reinforce with you guys, that this will be covered by grant money or by Bluefield Ethanol.
So we don't have to take out a loan to start on
No.
that project then?
No. There will be no loan, unless things drastically change with FEMA or the State Water Commission, there would be no loan for the city.
And when are we expecting to sign that second deal before?
The second deal.
Or the, you said.
Second memorandum agreement.
The user agreement?
Yeah.
I would say that if we are looking to advertise in May and award a contract, ask the State Water Commission to award that in June, that it would be prior to that. So it'd be sometime May, June timeframe is when you'd expect it. And hopefully sooner, because, we want to start construction on this pipeline as soon as possible, so that we can get it done by October 1st. So the ground storage reservoir, which is going to be a pretty large one at Blue Flint, and the pipeline, that's a lot of work to get done. So that's why we pushed hard on those ones. We need those to go to be able to provide the service by October 1st. So we're working on that with Onset Twitchell is the lawyers that are drafting up the water service agreements. So we will have those soon.
Thanks, Eric.
Yeah. So I will move on to my last item, and that's Heritage Heights. So I attached that map just to look at again, and I know I haven't updated it since last meeting, but just wanted to tell you guys that I didn't have really complete information. I could have described it better, but on what your options are for doing a development like this. And I gave a couple examples. Basically, you can do a project like that I would call as a city project to develop this. The city would hire a contractor and engineer to come up with plans, and the contractor do the work, and the city would fund the project, and they would be reimbursed by either selling their lots and or doing special assessments on the lots. That's one way you could do this development up at Heritage Heights. Another way is I call them a developer project, and I should back up. So the first one I described, Hillsborough just did and I don't know if you can go to their city website and see the development they're working on. They did something kind of like that. That's how they did their development. The other two I'll talk about, they're developer projects. And one way to do them would be the developer would own the lots or own the property, and he would put in the utilities and or build a house on them, or sell the lots to a home builder to build houses on them, who would sell it to a new homeowner. And that the city would bear the least amount of upfront cost this way, because they wouldn't pay for any infrastructure. This is how Wofford City does their developments. The developer does the utilities, all the utilities, and all the streets, the paving, the concrete, all that. And they just recoup their costs when they sell their house, or when they sell the lots, or they sell a house with a lot. Bismarck does it kind of in between. They have the developer that would put the utilities in, and then the city would do the streets. So you're going to have a combination of a higher lot or home price, because the developer's got to get his costs paid, and then the city would also have special assessments tacked onto those lots. So there's different ways to skin the cat here, and I know that you guys are concerned about how much this would cost the city, and that would be a way to do it if you have a developer that's coming in that would want to do this work, and
Which is the best way? Would your engineering firm recommend?
It really depends. I mean, if the city doesn't want to spend the money or doesn't have the money to spend, then maybe they want to put that on the developer. If the city wants a little more control on how things happen and unfold, and who they're gonna hire and all those things, then maybe they wanna do the first option.
Which is the best way to go? That's what I'm asking you.
I'm gonna say it depends.
You can't
It really
find a
depends.
developer
Yeah.
that really narrows you down.
We,
So,
Chelsea, we have the Gopher Fund, no, what is it called?
Yeah,
Prairie
the,
Dog.
Prairie Dog
Right,
funding.
The first, we have to come up with something, right, April 1st, for the Prairie Dog funding?
On what it's going to be more or less spent on, yes.
Right.
Or how we want to have an idea of what we're gonna use it on.
Could we do just some of that to do water and sewer, because we don't know about drainage yet, I haven't heard on that.
well, I was gonna address that in a minute,
Oh, okay.
but if you, when you're done talking,
But
I'll address
just do
that.
water and sewer on, get those lots kind of viable to be sold, and use that funding there, just to do water and sewer, and then we can wait with the
Streets and the.
streets until we, and you might have more on that.
And the Prairie Dog funding is what, $100,000 or?
125,000.
Not gonna get you very far.
So-
For that, I guess, is what I would say, but that's, you could, that is something you could do.
So as to Mike's question, he asked about the drainage and stuff like that. So I asked Eric to come up with these different options. So we have a path forward. Shannon from McLean County Water Board is back from vacation, so I plan on meeting with him very shortly about that drainage up there. We wanted to go through all that again, because what we do is likely going to depend on that drainage. And also, I talked with the Gunderson family, and they want to talk to their kids about what they think they might want to, where they might want to go, and if they want to sell, if they don't want to sell, whatever, stuff like that. And I talked to them like a week ago, and they said, yeah, they're trying to get everybody together to get them into that. He showed this area here. There's the land right above that, but then there's also a possibility of going along the highway from Klein's over to the county shop, which could also give us commercial space. It kind of depends on which way we want to go, and which way the landowners want to go, so. The thing is, those are our two options that basically have water and sewer available. Otherwise, I'm not sure where we'd get it from, so. But it's in the works, and, like I said, I asked Eric to just give us different ideas on where to go with that. So hopefully, within this next month, we'll get a lot more info on this.
Very good, thank you.
Well, good. Thanks, Eric. Anything else for Eric? No?
Thanks.
All right. Portfolios, Colin?
Due to cybersecurity issues, we need to update our router to water plant. So, it's gonna be about $5,500 to get a new router, get it programmed, installed, set up. Up till recently, correct me if I'm wrong, Adam, he's been able to dial into the plant, check things, check levels, with security, the security risk that's out there. He disconnected that unit so nobody can hack into our system. If somebody were to get in there, they can screw up the water plant, roil and mess things up.
And that's pretty expensive, right?
Yeah, about $5,500 to do all this.
I'll move that we spend the money to get the new router.
Okay. And that's an estimate, so.
Okay. Did you second, Tim?
Yep, I did.
Further discussion? It needs to be.
Okay.
Colin?
Yes.
Yes. Aye. Yes.
Yes. Okay.
I know Adam's, we're having off and on issues with some of the valve actuators, at the plant. So Adam's looking at a new, different brand, less problematic. Don't have any updates for you at this time, but just kind of an FYI that we're looking at that, so, for future.
Like a lot of problems, or? We have a lot of problems with things not opening properly. In the past, we've used our spare part, inventory to basically refresh them as, not cost effective. So ideally, when I was over in Fargo, I talked to Craig, their superintendent or one of their operators, And he said he had the same problems we did, and he switched actuators to a different brand, and they basically switched out their entire system, which we wouldn't do. We'd replace them over time. And then they had a lot more luck with this brand.
Get some prices?
Yeah. Basically, if they fail, we'd replace them with a newer, different style
Yeah,
than
and the price would
original
be
replacement.
over any limit that
Right.
would be considered.
And if you just pull out and put in, that's it? Or is there?
Yeah, they're actuators, so yeah, you pop them off and then put a new one on, yeah.
Not a big deal for
Yeah, the valve
programming?
stay, ideally the valve would stay.
Okay.
It's, I guess the other thing, just what, a week ago, hooked up, we're doing a little bit of pre-chlorine now, just to help clean up that number one clarifier.
Just to the end of this week.
Yep, just to run a little bit of chlorine there, just to kind of clean that up a little bit.
Oh, to prepare for,
Well, just, it's nice to do.
yeah, Dad. Geez, Carl.
Oh, we know who's buying beer now.
I gotta go take my medicine, sorry. Yeah, just, like I say, him and I talked about it, just because those things run without any chlorine in there, they kind of get a little
That makes sense.
slimy
Okay.
and whatnot, so.
We'll probably repeat that process after every disinfection byproduct testing.
Right.
But only for a couple weeks and then return it back to normal.
Doing just clarifier under one or both?
Well, run
It's
through.
going through both. but,
Okay.
Yeah, by the end, it's pretty much gone. so.
Okay. Good.
That's all I got.
I'm good. I think we've discussed everything about the hall and stuff that I know of, so I think that's about everything.
Nothing from me tonight. We're looking at either a gator or a side-by-side or something. I think we need to get more prices and stuff like that, you know, specs and all this stuff, and then maybe for the next meeting. That's all I have.
I want to look at getting a different credit card for the city, or see what we can do about it. Our limit is too low. If we buy something, it's becoming more of an issue than it is working for us, so I'm gonna try to look into some of that and see what else we can do. I know there is a program through the state called GovCard that would essentially give everybody a card. The amounts can be controlled. If they need to be upped for a day, they can be and then turned back down. Can all be monitored online, and I know there is like some kickbacks for the city. So much money that is spent gets put back into each city with how they do it after the end of the year. I did a demo on it before I had left Ward County. So I'm just gonna kind of look into that a little bit more. It just, if we have one big purchase on there and then somebody else needs to use a credit card and then we're having some issues on being able to put everything on there, and then we're having to purchase things separately.
Right.
Or like when Adam goes to water conferences, he could use his card and put it all on there instead of having to submit reimbursement and stuff for that, so.
Could the commissioner bank here, right?
Yeah.
Should we get increased limits or multiple cards? I know there was an issue with, since we're new or whatever first.
Yeah, and one of the things I don't like about that is it's personally in Larry's name and not the city of Washburn.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't like that either.
So, and I just don't think that's right. But I could look into see other options too, but yes, it's a business account per se, but it's in Larry's name, so it all affects him, and I just don't really think that's
Each commissioner gets a card then?
necessarily
As
fair.
long as I get the 5% back. So, and not only that, you know, but the new credit card is, you know, when, say Adam goes buy something, we have to pay tax.
Right.
Whereas if
Yeah.
we have a card, then you don't have to pay tax. So I know one of the bills we're paying, we had to pay $30 in tax, which we wouldn't have had to do.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that can add up pretty fast.
Sure.
That could be like the janitor buying some supplies then.
So you're gonna look into that then?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I did split out all our specials. Now, instead of it all being lumped into the 500 account, there is 500, 501, 502. So I will probably have to have a budget amendment for next meeting so that I can change all those limits or all the budget amounts to each fund that it needs to go to correlate to. I'm working on that. I have that on there twice. The only other thing that I noticed, I don't know if our doors don't lock properly if the Memorial Hall doors are propped open. We've done an experiment on this over the last week or two because we've been having issues with people propping the door open. So if they're going to prop the door open when they rent it, do we want to look at not refunding their deposit? The last 2 months have been a really struggle over at the hall. People that are renting it want to come back the next day, or other people that have access to it thinking they can come back the next day, and I'm getting phone calls on Sunday because Anita can't go in and clean, and I don't think that's fair to her. If there's nothing scheduled, or if there is something scheduled, then it's still set up, and then wanting to be in there on days prior to set up but don't want to rent it, and then they're getting in there or going in there before 3:30 when it locks and putting up a blockage. Well, then our doors aren't locking like they're supposed to.
They're leaving them blocked overnight?
No,
Okay.
but if it's open,
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah.
when we have it automatically set to lock at 5 o'clock, it's not locking. Well, now it's left open.
Once it's closed, it doesn't lock.
No, but if it's not, if it's propped open.
Right. Even when it closes, it doesn't lock.
Okay.
Right.
So
Because
they
it's
stay
not
unlocked overnight?
locking when it's closing, it's not there to have that security lock go in there, so then, per se, it's not locked overnight. Well, then, do they want to be responsible for it because they were in there if they're not having, it just, I see it being an issue if something were to happen.
Is there a setting that we can go in there that something that's not defaulting to a lock status?
Well, when the door's open, the actuator drops down and the bolts come out, and then it can't go shut.
So it's staying open.
So the door is locking, it's just coming
Yeah.
back against the...
Against the lock.
Oh, it's come back against the lock.
I think that's what's going on.
Got laughed at when we told somebody that this was happening. Like, so.
So I'm assuming they're carrying stuff in and out, and that's why they're propping it open, I'm guessing, or...
Or they
Yes.
want it,
Or they want it the night before, don't want to pay for it, and set up, and then so they're propping the door open. So
Well,
that
yeah,
when
I
it's
mean-
locked, say 5 o'clock, and sometimes, we will have locks to set later on at night, but if
Right.
it's not being able to be closed, then it can't lock.
Right. Well, the thing is, if they want to come in the night before, they should pay for it. It is so cheap already that people expect it for free all the time. Go to Bismarck and rent something. Oh,
Do we get a notification somehow if it doesn't lock?
no,
No,
you can't, because
only
the-
if we're looking on our phone.
well, even then you can't, because the bolt's down and it thinks it's locked, but the door is actually up against the stop.
Or yeah, if you drive by, you can sometimes tell too. So
Yeah,
I
you
just,
see the door open.
we kind of did a little experiment on that to see, and yeah, it was,
well, we need to figure out something, that's for sure.
Put a note on the door saying do not prop door open. I'm just thinking,
yeah, people read it.
Yeah, but
Take the
they-
Washburn, people are going to prop it open so they can grab their cards, grab their, their stuff in.
Or they leave it open because it's hot in there and prop the door open so cool air will come through one side and go out the other side.
Well, we have air conditioning, but...
I'm
I know,
not
but
trying
they had
to
it open.
deter people away from renting it and making it seem like we're gonna sit there, it's just,
It's a problem.
it is.
The thing is, though, they prop the door open, but there's an automatic button there. If it's closed, you bump it with your knee, it opens up, you carry your stuff in, let it close, and then come back out and do the same thing.
And
You don't
that's,
need to prop it
we
open.
ask for a time that people wanna be in there so that we know, because then if you
Yeah.
have the key, it will unlock,
Right.
and it'll stay open. Well, you wanna be in there from 4 to 6, well
Right.
then it automatically will lock then at, say, 6:10, to make sure you're out of there, or,
And they need to be out of there
and then
by
they need
then.
to be out of there, but then if they're not, then they're propping it open, and that's when this issue's arising.
Got it.
So I suppose we could try educating them ahead of time, that this is what's gonna happen, but good luck with that, right?
Maybe.
Okay.
I just, someone literally laughed, like we were making this up because they couldn't prop it open, so.
But the thing is, if you're inside and it's locked, you can still get out.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So...
You just
You just can't get back in, but if
Well,
there's still
somebody
somebody
can just
in there, then
hold
somebody
it
can hold the
and
door open, yes.
Yeah.
And I understand, when people are carrying stuff out, you wanna just be able to have it open and carry it out and walk back in.
I get it.
I
I get it.
110%
Yeah,
understand
we'll have
that.
to do something, I'm not sure. Figure it out, Mike.
Well, yeah, because the other half is grabbing their Allen screws and going in there and locking it too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
we did
very
get that.
heavy.
We plugged those.
No, they're still using them.
Plugged those, and then they...
We did use them last week.
Mike, I wonder if you could talk to the manufacturer of those automatic locks and ask them if there's a setting or something that they can do that if it goes past the program time for them locking, that when the door does finally shut, that then it automatically locks, or is there a programming issue that they can solve?
Not that I know of, because we had to redo all the relays and stuff, because when you hit the automatic, door opener for handicap, it wasn't unlocking itself even. It was jamming solid in there. And there's a little button up on top that when it goes closed, then it's supposed to go down, but when it locks with the door open, then the bolts go down by themselves. So I don't know what we can do with it yet.
Anything else, Jill?
No, that's all I had.
Adam?
We have Zach and Matt gone next week for water wastewater training at the Environmental Training Center. That's Tuesday through Thursday.
Okay.
We're expecting load restrictions to be put on this week, so we're ready to put those on if they end up.
Yep, whatever goes with the county.
Yep, so that meeting tomorrow, I believe.
Yeah, the commission meeting's tomorrow.
I
don't know if they're on
We'll
there.
probably put the barricades out tomorrow and then put the signs up the next day, because they're probably, put them on, so. And then we have the sweeper ready for whenever we can get back here to dump, sand.
Okay. Is that it?
Yeah.
Rhonda?
No, just to taste the Washburn is the 26th, and if you be serving to the city.
Somebody will. So, you got enough people signed up?
Yeah, I think I got 18 businesses.
I have a real quick question. Is Washburn having a watermelon feed in, August?
No, would you like to?
That's what it says in that North Dakota tourism book. I don't know. Anyway.
Put on by Hawkins.
Anyway.
Conservative Center?
And Kansas.
I don't know, it just said Washburn, so. Bills? Everybody have a chance to do the bills? Would you pay attention?
I'm paying attention.
Then make your motion.
For what? Pay the bill.
See, we're paying attention.
I'll move to pay the bill.
I'll second it.
Thank you, Tim.
Let's get on with the program.
All in favor of the bills? Colin?
Maybe. Aye.
Tim?
Yes.
Aye.
Don says yes, so I say aye. I say yes. Okay, next meeting, April 11th. Thank you, everyone. Meeting adjourned. So
Okay,
it was.
who won the bet?
It's
Adam or
11.
Chelsea?